Chapter 821 Strategy to Attack Blessed Land, Conversation about Tao. Tai Bai Yunsheng sat on the chair. He was stunned before laughing and scolding. Junior brother, you're making fun of me. I've heard this phrase countless times. Ever since I started my cultivation journey, it's been ringing in my head. Even mortals are familiar with the phrase. Fang Yuan nodded. There was a hint of arrogance in his tone. He spoke. The origin of this phrase is the first rank 9 GU Immortal in human history. It was said by primordial origin Immortal Venerable. He was the creator of Central Continent's heavenly court. It has remained standing up until now, through many eras, never falling to the corrosion of time. This phrase is extremely brilliant. It is the golden rule of GU master cultivation, having being passed down since long ago. It is even more popular than less than the legends of Ren Zhu greater than. But in my opinion, this phrase is not brilliant enough. I summarized it into one word, that is, Tao. Tai Bai Yunsheng heard this and straightened his body. He looked at Fang Yuan with shining eyes as he said again, please enlighten me. Fang Yuan said slowly, man is the spirit of all living beings. Among all living beings, humans have the highest intelligence and comprehension ability. We can understand heaven and earth and experience the great Tao. GU are the essence of heaven and earth. They are very unique among living beings. GU worms contain meager traces of the great Tao in their bodies, while immortal GU contain fragments of the great Tao. Thus, they are the essence of heaven and earth. What is Tao? Water flows downwards, humans die from hunger, trees grow because of rain and fertilizers, these are all Tao. GU masters use GU worms. They can light up fire, make rivers flow upwards, shoot out lightning, heal injuries, these are also Tao. Humans nurture, use, and refine GU. They are making use of the GU worms to display the might of heaven and earth. By living and procreating, they eventually understand the laws of the world. After becoming a GU immortal, the aperture becomes an immortal aperture, and Tao marks are carved on the body. One could say that GU masters are nurturing Tao when they nurture GU worms, they are using Tao when they use GU worms, and they are refining Tao when they refine GU worms. There are GU masters of all sorts of paths, strength path, fire path, time path, poison path, these are all created by our predecessors who walked on an unknown path, a cultivation path that they created step by step. Saying so, Fang Yuan paused before saying, so in other words, when GU masters cultivate, they are basically cultivating Tao. When GU masters cultivate, they are basically cultivating Tao. Tai Bai Yunsheng sat on the chair. He frowned as he thought over Fang Yuan's words. The more he muttered it, the more he felt the extreme brilliance of Fang Yuan's conclusion. This was truly directed at the core of the issue. To him, it was as if he felt clouds parting, he could see the clear skies. At this point, Fang Yuan continued, let's talk about the foundation of a GU immortal's cultivation, the immortal aperture. The immortal aperture is the blessed land or grotto heaven. It is a small world that contains Tao in it. This kind of Tao cannot compare to the world of the 5 regions, it is only expressed in Tao marks. Take Manhwa immortal blessed land as an example. It has the basic time path Tao marks, thus it can draw in a tributary of the river of time, allowing the concept of time to exist in the blessed land, and for time to flow. It also has a rather large number of space path Tao marks, thus the blessed land is large. Even after losing the north area, it still is very large. Hu immortal land spirit can even teleport freely. In blessed lands with few space path Tao marks, they have a smaller area and the land spirit cannot teleport. It is most abundant in enslavement path Tao marks. Precisely because of these Tao marks, Hu immortal blessed land is helpful for raising foxes. In addition, it can help in enslaving beast groups that are similar in body structure to foxes, and can even promote the growth of desolate beasts. Tai Bai Yunsheng nodded and said in agreement, that is absolutely correct. In my Tai Bai blessed land, it is most numerous in time path Tao marks, thus my time-based resources are very abundant. 1 day in the outside world is 33 days in my blessed land. It has the least earth path Tao marks, thus there are no mountains in my blessed land, and the soil is infertile as well. In terms of space path Tao marks, it is only ordinary. In total, the area is not large, but the sky is very high. He said this as his eyes shined brightly. He gained some understanding. That is why I said the offense and defense of a blessed land only is based at one thing, that is, the composition of Tao marks in the blessed land. Fang Yuan continued. Blessed lands are a small world, why can they restrict enemies and seal their GU worms? The reason is because of the large number of Tao marks in the blessed land. It is like a pond. Mortal GU contain traces of Tao, they are like drops of water, sparks of fire. 1 drop of water entering the pond would be fused into it easily. One spark of fire entering the pond will get extinguished easily. Thus, once the Tao marks in the Blessed Land are activated, the heavenly power would be enforced and mortal GU would lose effect. Why are immortal GU unrestricted by blessed lands? Because immortal GU are the law fragments, they are unique entities, just like a rock. When a rock is tossed into a pond, no matter how the surface ripples, the entry of the rock cannot be stopped. But although it cannot be sealed, it can be suppressed. When an immortal GU is used in blessed lands to battle, its power would be weakened or strengthened by the blessed land's Tao marks. As for GU immortals, when they invade blessed lands, they would be suppressed by the Tao marks as well. But GU immortals have an immortal body, they are fundamentally different from mortals. What are immortal bodies? To put it simply, they are bodies that have Tao marks carved on them. When GU immortals invade blessed land, the more Tao marks in the blessed land, the more suppression the GU immortal would feel. In contrast, the more Tao marks on the GU immortal's body, the less suppression they would experience. In his past life, Fang Yuan was a blood path GU immortal. He could not enter many of the fragment worlds of the immemorial 9 heavens. That was because these fragment worlds had sparse Tao marks, they were far fewer than the Tao marks in his body. If Fang Yuan entered them, it would be like a tiger entering a rabbit's cage, the only result would be that the fragment world would burst, causing the fragment world's Tao marks to be destroyed, the winds of assimilation would blow and destroy all of the resources in the fragment world. Or looking at another example, the demons in Dongfang Chongfan had been fighting in Jade Cool Blessed Land. Dongfang Chongfan used his territorial advantage and caused the GU immortals to be unable to use their mortal GU, but he could not seal their immortal killer moves. This was because Jade Cool Blessed Land was a public blessed land, even though it had a lot of Tao marks, it was very mixed. Dongfang Chongfan could not mobilize all of the Tao marks, he could only control the part of the blessed land that he contributed. Thus, its power was limited. He could not even cause the flying GU immortals to land on the ground. Not all GU immortals possessed immortal killer moves for flying. But GU immortals have Tao marks in their bodies, they can resist the suppression of the blessed land's Tao marks. The demonic path GU immortals' mortal killer moves had no effect against Dongfang Chongfan, but the mortal killer moves used on their own bodies still had effect. Truly insightful, truly insightful. Tai Bai Yunsheng was struck by realization, he sighed, I understand. Public blessed lands have weak defenses, why is that? That is because they are formed by numerous GU immortals sacrificing a portion of their blessed lands, they were pieced together. These types of blessed lands are very mixed in Tao mark varieties, they cancel out each other and cannot form a cohesive strength, it is like having a finger each from 5 people, they can only act individually, they cannot form into a fist. Blessed land that have a soul origin also have Tao marks that are pure. If there are land spirits, they can expend immortal essence and mobilize the Tao marks to use the heavenly power. Immortal GU are the law fragments, there are Tao marks on the desolate beasts' bodies, GU immortals have been mentioned already, immortal GU houses are formed by combining immortal GU, while immortal killer moves are the fusion of many types of Tao marks, they are in effect or great power formed from varying sources. Thus, be it the blessed land or grotto heaven, the purer the Tao marks, the harder it is to take down. Land spirit, immortal essence, they are all to assist the use of Tao marks. Looking at Imperial Court Blessed Land, if not for the land spirit and 88 Truyong building contesting against each other, if it was fully protected, how could it be destroyed? Saying this, Tai Bai Yunsheng left his seat, he straightened his back and faced Fang Yuan, bowing, after hearing your words, Fang Yuan, I have truly felt enlightened, my questions are answered, I have gained much from it. From today onwards, I would not dare to call you junior brother, a skilled person as a teacher, on the road of cultivation, you have already surpassed me. He, old Bai, today, we are just having a casual conversation. You do not need to be humble, you know this reasoning deep within yourself, you are just not as clear on it as me. Fang Yuan waved his hand, he was very calm and collected. Tai Bai Yunsheng's face was austere, no, although the reasoning is simple, it is extremely brilliant. The word, Tao, is indeed more brilliant than the phrase, man is the spirit of all living beings, GU are the essence of heaven and earth. I was quite ignorant in the past, only now have I seen the essence of GU master cultivation. This reasoning, I am afraid ordinary GU immortals have not comprehended it yet. Fang Yuan showed a slight smile. Tai Bai Yunsheng's words were not exaggerated. In truth, the reason he could understand this was because he had the advantage of being a transmigrator. In the previous life of his previous life, Earth was greatly developed in the field of science. Laws of mechanics, trigonometry, acceleration, density, specific heat capacity and others, weren't all these the laws of nature? From this aspect, science is also a form of cultivation. Give me a fulcrum and I shall move the earth. This classic sentence, when used in the GU world, would be, give me a GU worm, and I can give off light and heat. Give me all the GU worms, and I will be omnipotent. Because he had experiences from two worlds, Fang Yuan could observe this world from another angle, he could understand logic that others could not sense or comprehend. But in the GU master world, was there nobody who can understand this reasoning? How could that be? There were lots of people who understood. Primordial origin Immortal Venerable was one of them. Man is the spirit of all living beings, GU are the essence of heaven and earth. This was a more detailed and easily understood explanation of Tao. Primordial origin Immortal Venerable said it to aid in educating people of the future. It led to the development of inheritances of various paths. He had a different objective. Anyone who could understand this was someone of high position, a GU immortal that stood up high. After looking at their cultivation journey over their entire life, they could conclude this. Ordinary GU masters were living in the mortal world. Ordinary GU immortals were busy dealing with their calamities and tribulations. Why would they have time to think about such useless things? Whether they could understand this reasoning or not, their lives would not be affected. In the end, it was only a way of thinking. But one could not look down on this way of thinking. Gunpowder was first used to refine pills in ancient China. When exposed to other civilizations, it had been developed into use for guns and cannons. The ingenuity of Chinese civilization was unquestionable, but modern Earth was on the path of science, and the Western world's contribution was the greatest. Different streams of thought would prevail in separate societies when viewing the world, and two different civilizations would be created. Between civilizations, one could not say which was superior or inferior, they were specialized in different things. Thus, Tai Bai Yun Sheng, who was part of the GU master civilization, heard Fang Yuan's words and was deeply enlightened. From his perspective, he could feel that Fang Yuan's understanding was much higher than him. He did not dare to call him junior brother anymore. A skilled person is a teacher. If he continued to call Fang Yuan junior brother, Tai Bai Yun Sheng would feel extremely embarrassed inwardly. There was a type of feeling called humiliation of being inferior. Tai Bai Yun Sheng was currently in such a state. The two talked for some more time before Tai Bai Yun Sheng said his goodbyes to Fang Yuan. Even though they had always communicated with each other using GU, after a face-to-face conversation, any distance between them had vanished. Fang Yuan had lived in two worlds, his manipulation techniques were extremely amazing. After a simple conversation about Tao, he left a deep impression in Tai Bai Yun Sheng, making the latter have a feeling of inferiority. Chapter 822, Discussion about Huge Plan, Rejection. After learning that Tai Bai Yun Sheng had returned to Hu Immortal Blessed Land, Fairy Li Shan rushed to Hu Immortal Blessed Land as quickly as possible. Right now in Snowy Mountain, old ancestor Shui, who was present all the time, Tai Bai Yun Sheng was an outsider and had a sensitive identity, he could not go there anymore. Thus, the best location was still Hu Immortal Blessed Land. Because Tai Bai Yun Sheng had the experience of saving Danghun Mountain, this process did not have any issues, it was completed uneventfully. Fairy Li Shan's pale face let out a sigh. After getting past this difficulty, a weight on her mind had finally been lifted. But she still had severe injuries on her, she needed to recuperate. Wait a moment, Fairy Li Shan was about to return to Snowy Mountain Blessed Land, but Fang Yuan stopped her. I have a huge transaction, I wonder if you are interested. Fang Yuan talked about his plan. He did not have the wealth to refine Immortal GU. But that did not mean that the combination of Tai Bai Yun Sheng, Fairy Li Shan, He Lu Lan, and Fang Yuan could not afford it. Right now, Fairy Zhang Yu's whereabouts are unknown, and to take Dark Limit Immortal GU, we do not have a technique like that of thieving Heaven Demon Venerable, it would be very difficult. I obtained an immortal killer move from Dong Feng Chong Fan's inheritance, it is called Star Fog Concealment, it can conceal one from heavenly secrets and is suitable for us. Fairy Li Shan's words immediately interested Fairy Li Shan and He Lu Lan, who was beside her. But after hearing that Star Fog Concealment needed 2 Immortal GU as the core to activate it, Fairy Li Shan smiled bitterly as she shook her head. Refining an Immortal GU is already beyond our capabilities, 2 Immortal GU are an impossible task. Now, although restoring Minuscule Mountain saved Fairy Li Shan a huge amount of expenses, the injuries on her body still needed to be healed by other GU Immortals. There was also old ancestor Shui Hu's missions that had been given to her, and the fact that she was sponsoring He Lu Lan to cultivate all along, her deep financial power was at its limits. She was in difficult circumstances with funds, just like Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan had no choice, he could only come up with another investment plan. He suggested, by gathering the wealth of all four of them, they could purchase knowledge and experiences of raising hairy men, and buy hairy man slaves in bulk. They could also raise the scale of the stone nests, increasing the production of air sac GU, to increase the amount of guts GU traded. The four can split the profits after that. This plan was much cheaper than refining Immortal GU. But he was rejected by Fairy Li Shan. Fang Yuan, have you thought about Immortal Crane Sect's reaction? Your guts GU trade is a monopoly, it is extremely profitable and has attracted much attention. If you increase the scale of production, Immortal Crane Sect is bound to become even more jealous. If the balance in their mindsets change, they might target who Immortal Blessed Land again. What will you do then? We have enough trouble already, the less complications, the better. Fang Yuan was silently before replying. You are right, forget about it. After Fairy Li Shan returned to Snowy Mountain Blessed Land, Heilu Lan stayed in a stone nest to refine air sac GU for Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan's two suggestions did not succeed. He was unresigned. After returning to Danghun Palace, he contacted Langya Land Spirit. The hairy men in Langya Blessed Land were the best quality he had ever seen. Even in a high-end market like Treasure Yellow Heaven, none of the hairy men were as skillful as the ones in Langya Blessed Land. From this, one could easily guess that Langya Land Spirit had the best methods to raise hairy men as well as rich experience in doing so. Fang Yuan did not have Immortal Essence Stones, but he had the Wisdom Path Inheritance, many Immortal GU recipes, and he had a huge amount of Immortal materials. They were all things that Langya Land Spirit desired. Could he use these to make a transaction with Langya Land Spirit? Fang Yuan started with hope, but he ended with disappointment. Langya Land Spirit's attitude was firm, it was like an iron wall with no way of getting through. You're targeting the hairy men. Don't even think about it. If you want to trade with me, there is only one way, by completing the task. Langya Land Spirit repeated the task again. He wanted that rank 6 immortal material, poisonous flower petals. Fang Yuan was slightly interested. He thought about it as he asked, if I can get this immortal material for you, can you sell me some hairy man slaves, or a portion of your experience in raising them? Langya Land Spirit waved his sleeves in rejection. Impossible, anything involving hairy men is not for sale, you should forget about this idea. But if you can find the immortal material I want, I can give you the GU recipes of all-out effort GU. In fact, I not only have the rank 1 to 5 GU recipes of all-out effort GU, I also have the rank 6 all-out effort immortal GU recipe. Isn't this something you need? Langya Land Spirit tossed out this bait. It indeed enticed Fang Yuan, but he was also a little angry internally. Langya Land Spirit was trying to make use of Fang Yuan, but could it be so easy to get this immortal material? The danger was too great. Fang Yuan would have to risk his life. As the saying goes, a fall in a pit, a gain in one's wit. How many times had Fang Yuan taken advantage of Langya Land Spirit? The Northern Plains auction was simply too much of a loss for the Land Spirit. The pain was so great that the Land Spirit had come to a realization. That was why Langya Land Spirit became so hard to deal with. The reason was Fang Yuan. Investment or effort leads to reward. The reverse is also true, any reward would have its price. Fang Yuan obtained so much in immortal materials for essentially no cost. The price was that his relationship with Langya Land Spirit became ice cold. Land spirits were formed by the fusion of obsession and heavenly power. They were very stubborn. Even though they could not lie, once they made up their minds, they would not easily change it. Thus, suddenly, Fang Yuan could not do anything. Langya Blessed Land could not provide him any more help. There was no need to ask Langya Land Spirit for any investments. His plan failed. Fang Yuan sighed as he placed his attention on the Blessed Land's calamity. 2 days later, Myriad Self-Giant Hand, Rise. Fang Yuan activated his immortal killer move. 4 of the 8 strength path hands grabbed on 4 sides of Danghun Mountain as it lifted, while the other 4 lifted the base of it into the air. Danghun Mountain rose up rapidly. It was tens of meters away from the ground in no time. Tai Bai Yunsheng was floating in the air. Seeing this, he was stunned. At a stone nest, Heilu Lan looked from far away at the huge Danghun Mountain floating in the air. She muttered to herself, in such a short time, he got stronger again. It was much easier now for Fang Yuan to lift Danghun Mountain. Not only because he was using 8 strength path hands, but because he had already completely fused pulling Mountain Immortal GU into the killer move Myriad Self, making it part of its core. Originally, Myriad Self's core was Cleanse Soul Immortal GU. After cleansed soul immortal Gu was starving, it could not be used anymore, so he used self-strength instead. But now, the core of myriad self-killer move became 2 Gu, one was self-strength, the other was pulling mountain. Don't just stare, take it. Fang Yuan shouted. Tai Bai Yunsheng quickly opened up his immortal aperture, as the 8 strength path giant hands brought Dang Hun Mountain into his blessed land slowly. Alright, next, the land spirit will lead you to collect several resources in the blessed land. Fang Yuan said. Tai Bai Yunsheng nodded. Under Little Hu Immortal's control, he vanished in front of Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan landed on the ground. Without Dang Hun Mountain, the center of the blessed land was very empty. He sat there and closed his eyes, mobilizing time luck immortal Gu as countless mortal Gu flew up from within his immortal aperture, his dead land. As beads of green grape immortal essence were consumed, with time luck immortal Gu as the core, and the surrounding mortal Gu acting as support, a huge white gold mist of light was formed. The mist of light entered the air, flying across the gray sky for several li, towards a group of Gu master captives. These captives were from Dongfang tribe. Earlier, they were imprisoned by Fang Yuan in an underground cell, now, they were taken out and placed in his immortal aperture. As the mist of light covered them, these captives screamed in shock. What is this thing? They had an ominous feeling within themselves, they wanted to dodge but they were restrained and could not move. The white gold mist of light circulated around them, initially slowly but growing faster, it soon spun quickly as it formed a spiral of white gold light. The white gold light spiral circulated for a while before exploding into a white gold colored light pillar. Immortal killer move, time assist luck. The light pillar penetrated out of Fang Yuan's immortal aperture, it went all the way up along Fang Yuan's spine, until it shot out of Fang Yuan's head, into the sky. After several breaths of time, the light pillar vanished. At the same time, the white gold spiral in Fang Yuan's immortal aperture was consumed. On the rotting ground, there were corpses of all the Dongfang tribe captives. These corpses were all dried out and old, they were originally young people, but they were now extremely aged. Time assist luck had such an effect. It snatched the lifespan of others to give the Gu Immortal a temporary boost in his own luck. I won't give in. You killed us, you murderer, we will haunt you even as ghosts. For your own selfish reasons, you murdered us innocent souls, you are a sinner, you are a murderer. Ah, eat him, eat him. Suddenly, a large number of vengeful remnant spirits came out of Fang Yuan's body, they twisted around his soul and were attacking him fiercely. Fang Yuan snickered, his tall immortal zombie body was unmoving like a mountain. The soul in his body had already counterattacked, colliding with these souls. These souls were very tattered and were mortal souls, it was reasonable to say that they were not worth mentioning, but at this point, Fang Yuan's soul was being suppressed by them. Thankfully, they did not have intelligence, they could not cooperate. Fang Yuan moved his soul and killed them one by one, he paid a huge price but he exterminated these souls. After the battle, Fang Yuan's soul was 30% of its original size, it was dim and resembled a flickering candle, it was barely alight, its injuries could be said to be severe. But thankfully, he had guts Gu. He crushed airsac Gu one after another, the guts Gu inside broke as well, turning into the purest form of nourishment for his soul to strengthen and recover. A moment later, Fang Yuan's soul completely recovered, it was back at its peak condition. Compared to before, his soul was more refined, it was like forged steel, becoming more compact and durable. The backlash of remnant souls is time assist luck killer move's greatest weakness, but after the soul battle ends, when my soul recovers, there is some advantage of refining the soul. Fang Yuan could clearly discern the benefits and weaknesses of this move. Chapter 823. Advantages outweigh disadvantages, time assist luck. Time assist luck increased one's luck without expending one's own lifespan, but it had two big disadvantages. First was the backlash of the remnant souls. Because of the immortal killer move, the remnant souls become extremely fierce, and in the dangerous battle of souls, one could not use any soul path methods and had to rely on their own soul to battle. Thus, even soul path Gu immortals often suffered severe damage to their soul after the battle of souls. Second was that time assist luck could only be used once a month, and this related to the amount of time experienced by the immortal body. What was meant by the time experienced by the immortal body? Blessed lands and grotto heavens had different rates of time flow compared to the outside world. For instance, one day in the outside world could be over 15 days in the blessed land. If the Gu immortal was in the outside world, the time experienced by their immortal body was 1 day. If they were in the blessed land, the same time in the outside world experienced by the immortal body would be 15 days. The length of a GU immortal's lifespan was the total amount of time their immortal body experienced. Fang Yuan took back time luck immortal GU as well as the other mortal GU, and subconsciously gazed upwards. It's a pity that I don't have luck inspection immortal GU and cannot inspect the change in my luck. I also can't tell how effective the killer move, time assist luck is. Oh, right, I can't inspect myself, but I can inspect others. Fang Yuan suddenly thought of a way. He had luck inspection mortal GU, although it could not be used to see his own luck, he had connected his luck with Yi Fan, Han Li and Hong Yi. The series of luck connections made the luck of the four of them the same, like 4 bowls of water with the same volume. The water in Fang Yuan's bowl had suddenly increased. This rise would immediately be divided into 4 portions, 1 portion would be left in his bowl while the other 3 portions would flow to the other 3 people. Fang Yuan could not inspect his own luck, but he could inspect the other 3. After all, these 3 were still mortals at present. Southern border. In a lush forest on a mountain, Yi Fan was quickly moving along the ground like an ape. He occasionally jumped over boulders, and at times climbed and grabbed long green vines flying between the tall trees. He was extremely fast, as if he was truly possessed by an ape. In fact, fine ape hair grew on his nose, cheeks, arms and other areas. Yi Fan's eyes were also not white and black, instead they had turned golden. He was staring at a blue speck of light in front of him with a slightly anxious look. This blue-faced GU is truly slippery, it is so hard to catch. No, I must catch it, it is rank 3 GU of transformation path and can change a male GU master's appearance. I am currently under an arrest warrant, this GU worm is even more important to me. Suddenly, a strange itch was felt at the bottom of Yi Fan's heart. Yi Fan glanced quickly at his body and saw his arms were already covered in thick ape hair, his heart sank, damn it. I forcibly activated the killer move ape transformation, the longer I maintain this killer move, the more ape hair there will be, and once it goes beyond the limit, I might turn into a half-man and half-ape monster. But if I stop this killer move, my speed will definitely fall and I will only be able to watch this wild blue-faced GU leave. Right as Yi Fan was in a dilemma, the sky rapidly changed, as dark clouds covered the sky, and soon, bean-sized raindrops started to fall. In a dozen breaths of time, the drops of rain had turned into torrential rain. The rainstorm obstructed his vision, Yi Fan had completely lost the blue light he had barely been able to chase. Damn it, I spent several days and nights, and now all my effort has failed. Sigh, without a GU worm specially meant to capture wild GU, it is really difficult to capture them with just bare hands. Yi Fan was soon soaked thoroughly, inwardly in great disappointment. Crackle right at this time, a bolt of lightning struck a large tree on the mountain. The tree fell down, fire burned and soon spread, unable to be extinguished by the rainstorm. On this tung oil mountain, there are tung trees everywhere and they are very combustible. I need to quickly leave this place, otherwise it will be too late once there is a wildfire. Yi Fan quickly left. After 15 minutes, he was standing at the base of the mountain looking at the wildfire spreading wildly over the mountain, the rainstorm unable to extinguish it. He sighed and was about to leave when suddenly a blue light swayed into his vision. When Yi Fan saw it clearly, his eyes opened wide. It was that blue-faced GU. But this blue-faced GU had dense soot over its body and was clearly heavily injured. Yi Fan quickly hurried over and grabbed it. Normally, a GU master would face stubborn resistance from a GU worm's will when they refined wild GU, but as the blue-faced GU was too weak, Yi Fan was able to refine it within a few breaths of time. I had never imagined I would obtain blue-faced GU like this. Yi Fan sighed inwardly at the mysteriousness of fate. He was fully satisfied with this pleasant surprise and was about to leave, when suddenly his body stiffened like a stone statue. After the blue-faced GU, there were still 3 wild GU worms that had escaped the fire and were flying in his direction in heavily injured states. Western Desert. On a rocky beach, all sizes of rocks were piled up and spread over the surroundings, forming a natural rock field. Han Li was breathing heavily as he ran over the broken rocks, his legs hurt badly but he endured it. Brat, put down those 3 nodding stones. A rank 3 GU master shouted in fury from behind while in fierce pursuit of Han Li. Han Li ran even faster when he heard the voice. In his vision, a tall pile of rocks was getting bigger and bigger. Han Li involuntarily showed a happy expression. These rocks were extremely large and firm, with gaps of all sorts of sizes in between the rocks. This was a very good hiding place. The rank 3 GU master who was chasing Han Li, however, was exceptionally anxious. Han Li was only a young man with a weak and thin physique, he would be able to leave the GU master's vision soon if he entered the gaps. The previous intense battle had consumed the primeval essence of the rank 3 GU master. He was not able to even activate rank 3 movement GU and had no choice but to chase him by simply running. Damn it, do I let him slip away like this? No, I am a grand rank 3 GU master elder, while he is only a mortal. If I let him escape and word of this matter spreads, how am I going to hold my reputation up in the future? Those 3 nodding stones are materials to refine rank 5 GU, they are very valuable. If they were sold. The rank 3 GU master was extremely unwilling. He gritted his teeth fiercely and finally used his trump card. His mind blanked out briefly, as his lifespan decreased by 2 years in exchange for 20% rank 3 primeval essence. He used 10% to activate a movement GU worm. His speed increased sharply and in several breaths, he was right behind Han Li. He used the other 10% primeval essence to punch out a stone fist. The stone fist could definitely kill Han Li if it struck. However, a bright light flashed past the GU master's eyes as he dispelled this thought. On one hand, he was afraid of shattering the nodding stones with Han Li, and on other hand, he really hated Han Li and wanted to properly torture him to death to vent his anger. Therefore, this stone fist brushed past Han Li's right leg and crashed into the tall and sturdy rock pile. A series of muffled sounds echoed, dust swirled and shattered rocks splattered everywhere. Han Li received a heavy injury, his right leg was directly fractured. However, he had a firm disposition and knew his life was hanging by a thread right now. He screamed before using all his strength to jump forward. His thin and small body allowed him to land right into a crevice. The rank 3 GU master was startled. He had used up all his primeval essence and had no more ways now. Was he really going to let this brat escape alive? But soon, the GU master relaxed. Han Li had jumped into a crevice, but his head had hit a wall and was bleeding, and with the serious fracture of his right leg, he was dizzy and could not even climb up. Brat, you really can run. Run, run more. The rank 3 GU master slowly walked closer to Han Li with a vicious expression. Han Li was filled with despair. He subconsciously stepped back, but his speed was extremely slow. The rank 3 GU master thought of countless cruel methods to torture Han Li as he entered the crevice with a sinister smile. Boom! Suddenly, the many large rocks forming the crevice collapsed above the rank 3 GU master. The rank 3 GU master's sternum broke and his lungs were pierced. He struggled for a while before dying. Han Li was left stupefied on the spot. Central Continent. Universal Life Academy. The GU refinement competition had already entered its final round. 16 young GU masters were sitting cross-legged on the plaza, and under everyone's gazes, started refining GU simultaneously. The Refinement Path Convention of Central Continent was already approaching. Universal Life Academy might only be a small sect, but every sect of Central Continent had a quota for participating in the Refinement Path Convention. Universal Life Academy only had 3 places reserved, and 1 each was given to a disciple, elder and external elder of the sect. Now, 16 GU master disciples were fighting for the sole reservation. This competition will soon reach the crucial moment. Right, there is one final barrier in refining Red Face GU, which tests the GU master's subtle control of their senses. Their hands and mind must be coordinated to maintain control over the fire. Look, Cao Yu has already reached this barrier. He is intentionally slowing down the speed of GU refinement to have sufficient time to react. Spectating disciples discussed and analyzed the situation in soft voices. After a while, 2 others entered this final barrier. As expected, they are Xie Lan and Lu Wen. These 2 along with Cao Yu are publicly recognized as the 3 ultimately most talented elite disciples in refinement path of our academy. The final winner of this competition should be from among these 3. Maybe there is a dark horse. This is not possible. Cultivating refinement path requires large amounts of practice and is not a matter of instant success. Even if someone secretly practices, this process would also waste enormous amounts of resources, and the records of buying GU refinement materials cannot be concealed. On the raised platform, the academy principal was sitting at the front with 6 elders beside him, watching the competition to prevent any cheating from occurring. Time flowed by. There was a 4th young GU master, then a 5th and a 6th who stepped into this final crucial step one after the other. We can basically confirm it now. The winner will be from among Cao Yu, Xie Lan and Lu Wen. As long as they don't make a mistake, they are the top 3. Other GU masters have also reached the final step, but it is already too late. While the spectators discussed outside the plaza, the elders were also secretly communicating. Chapter 824. Blood Poison Carrier Flowers, 7th Calamity. The refinement hall elder spent all his effort to nurture the three of them. They are at the upper level even in Central Continent. They are truly prized students of a brilliant master. An elder praised. He, I am flattered, I am flattered. These three children have talent, but it was mostly because of Lord Principal's support, otherwise, they would not have become so familiar with the refinement steps. The refinement hall elder was very modest. The academy principal did not speak. The refinement hall elder shifted the topic as he spoke about Hong Yi. Speaking of which, your son, Hong Yi has such talent as well, he is in the finals now. Most notably, he is not a disciple of the refinement hall. It is very impressive that he managed to attain such results despite having little practice. All of the elders looked at each other. They were secretly despising the refinement hall elder for bootlicking the principal so smoothly, but they all voiced out their agreement with him. Indeed, with Lord Principal's bloodline in him, how can he be weak? When he first entered the academy, he was still inconspicuous. But now, Hong Yi is already the leader of the disciples. In the future, he is sure to be a leader somewhere. The principal snorted. You are praising him because he is my son. Do you think I cannot tell? He could get into the finals because of his dogshit luck. He tries out everything without putting hard work into any of them. By learning everything, he is also being unskilled at every aspect. After this competition, send him into 7 days of seclusion so that he can reflect on himself. The elders were silent. Lord Principal had several sons. Hong Yi was the most capable one, but he was the son of a concubine and did not have a good relationship with his father. He had a rebellious nature and was thus often suppressed by the principal. This time, Hong Yi signed up for the refinement path competition behind his father's back. At the moment, Hong Yi's forehead was covered in sweat as he looked at the lump of fire in his hands. In the fire, the GU worm was gradually taking form. I am finally at the last step. It is a pity that I wasted too much time. Hong Yi observed the others while in the midst of his refinement. He saw that Cao Yu, Xie Lan and Lu Wen's flames had shrunken to the size of wicks. Hong Yi knew that he had no hope of winning. In truth, he had refinement path talent greater than Cao Yu and the other two. But he practiced very little. One reason was because this was not his main path. He could not divert too much attention to it as he lacked in the time he could invest. Secondly, he had no financial support. Even though he had some fortuitous encounters, his father did not support him. He could only cultivate his main path. Damn it. Father has already noticed my intention. I want my mother's memorial tablet to be placed in the ancestral hall, but father follows the ancestral rules strictly. Why would he allow it? He wants me to be like my other siblings, obeying him without question, and not challenging his prestige. But Hong Clan had been really unfair to my mother. This is injustice. If I do not seek justice for my mother, I am not a filial son. Forget it. At this point, I can only take a risk and make a shot in the dark. The refinement of this red-face GU is usually completed in an instant in a refinement path master's hands. But the fire is hard to control, thus the others are slowing down at this step. I cannot complete it instantly, of course, but if I can surpass their speed, I will have a chance of winning. Hong Yi made up his mind. He immediately acted on it. Be it the disciples around him or the elders on the stage, they quickly noticed Hong Yi's actions. Everyone shook their heads. He is so naive. Hong Yi is taking a risk, but how can he turn this around? Unless he is a refinement path master. He is obviously not a refinement path master. He is seeking his own doom. Look, his fire has gone out of control already. Oh no, Hong Yi cried out in dismay. The flame in his hands was flickering. It was making cracking sounds as it burned. It was going to explode. The force of the explosion would not be scary. After all, this was a test from the academy. They were concerned about the disciples' safety. I failed. Hong Yi's heart sank. The flame in his hand had completely lost control. It even flew away from his hand. At once, Hong Yi felt extremely bitter. I still failed in the end. Achu. He had been practicing GU refinement for the last few nights. He had been putting in last-minute effort but had gotten a cold in the process. Because he relaxed himself now, and his body was full of sweat, he could not help but sneeze. His sneeze blew at the fire and the flames extinguished at once. A refined red-faced GU fell onto the concrete floor of the stage with a loud sound. I refined it successfully. Hong Yi was stunned. Everyone stopped their movements on the spot. Goo. An elder who was drinking tea spat out all of the tea in his mouth. Even the academy principal, Hong Yi's father, stood up subconsciously. He had a strange expression. He was stunned. This sneeze actually worked like the method of a refinement path master, causing the refinement's final step to be completed in an instant, creating the red-faced GU. Hong Yi, this lad, just what kind of dogshit luck is this? Hu Immortal Blessed Land, Fang Yuan, Tai Bai Yun Sheng, Hu Immortal Land Spirit and He Lu Lan were floating in the air, awaiting the start of the earthly calamity. What earthly calamity would it be this time? Little Hu Immortal looked at her master. Fang Yuan touched her little head. Don't worry, this time, the situation is different from last time. We have 3 GU Immortals here, and Dang Hun Mountain along with lots of our resources were moved out, the Blessed Land's foundation is greatly depleted. Furthermore, I raised my own luck, I have an 80% confidence of getting through this calamity. The way of heaven was to take away surpluses while replenishing deficits, it emphasized on balance. The deeper the foundation of the Blessed Land, the stronger the heavenly tribulation or earthly calamity. Thus, Fang Yuan moved Dang Hun Mountain and all the other precious resources into Tai Bai Yun Sheng's immortal aperture. This way, with less fortune in the Blessed Land, the heavenly tribulation or earthly calamity would be much weaker. In Imperial Court Blessed Land, he learned about the power of luck path. He knew that the stronger his own luck was, the weaker the heavenly tribulation or earthly calamity would be. One could say that Fang Yuan had done all the preparation possible. But even so, there was still a 20% chance that he would fail in resisting the earthly calamity. The reason was that there were an immense variety of earthly calamities, it was unknown which one was coming. Earthly calamities have all sorts of strange effects, even those rare and unheard of abilities were possible, even those that had never been seen before could appear, the difficulty of resisting them would be much greater. As they waited, Earth Chi started to rumble as the earthly calamity began. Stalks upon stalks of flowers pierced the ground of Hu Immortal Blessed Land as they grew rapidly. In a few breaths' time, bright red stalks of flowers grew all around Hu Immortal Blessed Land. The immortals hesitated, the flowers were blooming in all directions. These flowers were huge, they had the size of a person's face. The petals were soft and delicate like silk, they were layered on top of each other, each flower had at least 6 layers of petals, and around 100 petals in total. This is the blood poison carya, Fang Yuan said in a quiet tone. He recognized this flower, he felt very helpless. To think that this earthly calamity was a type of blood calamity. These blood poison carya flowers only took 10 breaths of time from budding to wilting. When they wilt, their petals and roots would turn into a pool of poison. The poisonous blood would pollute the Blessed Land, causing widespread damage to life, leading to great losses. Only wood path techniques were specialized at dealing with these blood poison carya flowers. Other than that, any blood poison carya that was destroyed would also turn into a pool of poisonous blood. But in fact, even if Fang Yuan had wood path techniques, it was too late. There were so many blood poison carya flowers all over Hu Immortal Blessed Land, what could he do to stop them? Thus, even though there were 3 GU Immortals on his side, facing the vast sea of blood poison carya flowers, they were helpless. The blood poison carya flowers quickly wilted, as poisonous blood covered the surface of the ground like a layer of water. The water surface was not deep, about the height of a person's ankles, but it was all over Hu Immortal Blessed Land. The lake at the eastern part of the Blessed Land had been completely polluted. The fox groups and wolf groups at the western part of the Blessed Land faced countless deaths, corpses were lying in the pool of blood, their blood flowed out and added to the pool of poisonous blood. The Rockman slaves in the southern part were rudely awakened. Many of the Rockmen had blood poison carya flowers growing on their bodies. After the flower wilted, poisonous blood flowed out as the Rockmen cried out in pain, but few of them died. Tai Bai Yun Sheng felt a chill as he looked at the sky, sighing, heaven really wouldn't give us an easy time. Fang Yuan smiled bitterly. He Lu Lan consoled him. Tribulations are hard to endure, the current situation is quite good already. Looking at the poisonous blood all over the Blessed Land, even though most of the land is polluted and your losses are severe, the Earth Chi has already settled down, this earthly calamity is over already. Little Hu Immortal's eyes were watery. Master, we have to clear up the poisonous blood. The soil is polluted, it will not produce anything for the next few years. Our pink flower rabbits, wolf groups, and fox groups suffered great losses in numbers. Fang Yuan made a move immediately. He used pulling water immortal GU to siphon the poisonous blood into his own immortal aperture. His immortal aperture was a dead land, it was full of death energy and had no life, the poisonous blood could not pollute anything. But the poisonous blood was all over the Blessed Land, the range was too huge, even if Fang Yuan used pulling water immortal GU, the efficiency was too low. He felt some regret inwardly. If I knew this, I would not have fused pulling mountain immortal GU into the killer move, myriad self, I would have fused pulling water immortal GU first. That way, my efficiency would be higher, and my immortal essence expenditure would be lower. Man proposes, heaven disposes, this saying fit the current situation. After spending a day and a night, Fang Yuan finally extracted all of the poisonous blood in this blessed land and moved it into his immortal aperture. During this period, he worked without a break, he did not rest or sleep. He spent quite a sum of green grape immortal essence during the process. Removing the pollution of the poisonous blood could not be dragged on. The longer he took, the deeper the pollution, and the greater the aftereffects. Even though the poisonous blood was removed, the soil on the surface of the blessed land was entirely poisonous, squeezing it with one's hand would produce some bloody red mush. If it was not settled, in several days, this layer of soil would completely rot, turning into poisonous blood and polluting soil in other areas. Fang Yuan immediately made up his mind, removing this layer of soil. Even though Tai Bai Yun Sheng had landscape as before to restore the land back to its original state, Fang Yuan did not adopt that method. Thus, Fang Yuan, Tai Bai Yun Sheng, and He Lu Lan worked together, spending several days and finally getting rid of the soil layer. Fang Yuan moved all of the poisonous soil into his immortal aperture. Even with his immortal zombie body, he was extremely exhausted. There was a lot of work to do. Looking at it from another perspective, it was a good thing that Fang Yuan removed the north area of the Blessed Land previously. Chapter 825, Developing the Blessed Land, Lu Lan comes to a realization. Hu Immortal Blessed Land's seventh earthly calamity was finally over. Afterwards, looking back at this earthly calamity, there was really nothing dangerous. But this earthly calamity targeted Fang Yuan's weakness. It was quite unpleasant. Fang Yuan and the other two GU immortals could only watch the earthly calamity develop, making as much compensation as possible afterwards. After the earthly calamity ended, He Lu Lan continued to stay in Hu Immortal Blessed Land. This place was the safest to stay in for her right now. Under Fang Yuan's arrangement, she continued to use Strength Chi Immortal GU, assisting the hairy man slaves in the stone nests, refining large numbers of airsac GU. Right now, there was a mountain of airsac GU in the storage. Airsac GU was a one-time consumable GU, it was paired with Guts GU and sold together. Before the tribulation, Fang Yuan had made full use of He Lu Lan. The three stone nests were refining GU crazily, creating large numbers of airsac GU. Right now, there was a high number of airsac GU, the production of Guts GU could not keep up. Fang Yuan changed his refinement plan. He made one stone nest refine airsac GU, while the other two refined Mortal Star Thought GU. This made He Lu Lan grit her teeth in anger. Because their earlier deal was, before the tribulation, He Lu Lan would help the hairy men with the refinement of airsac GU. After these airsac GU were used to store Guts GU and sold for profit, all of it would go to Fang Yuan. Now that Hu Immortal Blessed Land had gone through the tribulation, from now on, the sale of Guts GU would include He Lu Lan's share of the profit. He Lu Lan lacked money too. Or more accurately speaking, any GU immortal who had just ascended into an immortal like her would lack money. Especially now, when Fairy Li Shan's wealth was dwindling, she could not support He Lu Lan's cultivation anymore. He Lu Lan's desire towards immortal essence stones was at an all-time high. But just when she wanted to start building and accumulating her foundation, Fang Yuan shrunk the production of airsac GU. He Lu Lan was helpless. The three stone nests were Fang Yuan's possession. He could refine whatever he wanted to, he did not need to get her input. But was He Lu Lan someone who gave up easily? She found Fang Yuan and talked to him, hoping that he would allocate at least 2 stone nests to refining airsac GU, so as to increase the sale of Guts GU. Fang Yuan attended to her enthusiastically, telling her about his difficulties with much emotion. Fairy Lu Lan, I also want to increase production. I have a huge headache right now. You've also seen how many hairy men I've lost in the production of airsac GU. If I want to replenish the number of hairy men, the cost will go up. Meanwhile, refining Star Thought GU is much milder and would cause fewer deaths in the hairy men. At this point, I've lost about 30% of my hairy men. If this goes on, I'll need to buy hairy man slaves. But you've just witnessed Hu Immortal Blessed Land undergoing tribulation. The losses were very great, now it's necessary to be more sparing. He Lu Lan heard this and frowned. She felt vexed inwardly. She almost lost control and shouted, "You're bullshitting me." Even if He Lu Lan did not know about Fang Yuan's total assets, she knew this. Before the tribulation, Fang Yuan had already transferred all of his precious resources into Tai Bai Yun Sheng's immortal aperture. He had no great losses. Meanwhile, in Jade Pool Blessed Land, he seized so many resources and even obtained Dong Fang Chongfan's soul. It could be said that he was one of the biggest winners out of the people in Tai Chu. The sale of Guts Gu was very much in demand, most of the profits went to Fang Yuan. No matter how poor Fang Yuan was, he could definitely afford to buy a group of hairy man slaves. Fang Yuan was lamenting about poverty to He Lu Lan. Seeing that she was unhappy, he continued smiling, saying, "Actually, in my opinion, my earlier suggestion is quite appropriate. We can pool a huge fund and buy experiences and knowledge of raising hairy men, before buying the slaves and raising them ourselves. This is a long-term investment, it is extremely worth it in the long run." Fang Yuan mentioned his suggestion again as He Lu Lan sighed in her mind. Fang Yuan's plan was advantageous to all four of them. But the first time he mentioned it, why did Fairy Li Shan object immediately? Because once this plan worked out, Fang Yuan was the biggest winner. This provided him too much help. Among the four of them, Fang Yuan needed hairy man slaves the most. He had the stone nests and could use them to their greatest value. Fang Yuan's cultivation plan involved the refinement of large numbers of mortal Gu. But He Lu Lan, Fairy Li Shan, and Tai Bai Yunsheng did not have such a need. If this plan succeeded, He Lu Lan and the others would need to invest time and money into raising hairy men. The best use of this was to sell hairy man slaves. But their immortal apertures were not suitable for raising hairy men. Meanwhile, Hu Immortal Blessed Land was a much better location. Not only could Fang Yuan sell hairy men slaves and have the greatest advantage in raising them, he could even use them to refine Gu and sell large numbers of mortal Gu. Precisely because of this, Fairy Li Shan rejected him. Fang Yuan was developing too quickly, an experienced Gu immortal like Fairy Li Shan could not allow it any further. Even though they were allies, the Snowy Mountain Alliance would expire eventually. After cooperating with Fang Yuan so many times, would He Lu Lan and Fairy Li Shan be unclear about how unscrupulous and ruthless this demonic schemer was? He Lu Lan sighed, her brows were tightly knitted, she did not continue the conversation, she turned around and left. Fang Yuan smiled as he sent her off and watched her leave. He shouted, "This is not an urgent matter, Fairy, do give it some thought." He Lu Lan was flying in the air as she inwardly scoffed at these words. "Consider what? I don't believe that you can keep this up. You are only using one stone nest to refine airsac Gu, the sale of Guts Gu will fall by half. This way, your monthly revenue will also shrink greatly. You spend much more money than me each month, I don't believe that you can endure it." "Oh, wait, no." After a few breaths, He Lu Lan's flying speed slowed down. Even though he is refining less airsac Gu, Fang Yuan has a huge batch in his inventory. He can totally use this batch to keep up with the sale of Guts Gu, or even sell multiple times the current amount. He Lu Lan flew slower and slower, her heart was turning colder. This is a deep scheme from Fang Yuan, he was aiming this at me. His monthly revenue would not fall, it could even go up. What about me? All of the airsac Gu in the inventory are refined by me, but according to our earlier transaction, I cannot profit from them. Meanwhile, Little Ant has a lot of problems to deal with now. Fang Yuan is using this timing and taking advantage of me. Oh, how can I cause more problems to Little Ant now? She has already helped me enough. He Lu Lan's heart felt chilly, she returned to the stone nests, seeing the three majestic buildings, she jolted to awareness. Compared to Fang Yuan, I have many flaws, there are many things that I am worse in. I have the great strength true martial physique, Fang Yuan is only an immortal zombie, but unknowingly, he has already gone far ahead of me. I thought that my scheming and plotting ability was good, but Fang Yuan has fathomless depths, he is much shrewder. I pride myself in having outstanding battle strength, but Fang Yuan's myriad self can fight rank 7. My greatest weakness is that I do not have economic support. Gu immortal cultivation is not just about fighting, management is the foundation. In this aspect, I am way behind Fang Yuan. Thinking of this, He Lu Lan stretched out her arm and gave herself a few slaps. It is time to wake up. He Lu Lan's face was burning from pain, but her eyes were sharp like lightning, her expression was firm as steel. From a young age, I was nurtured as the successor to the tribe leader. As a mortal Gu master, I had no lack of resources, I did not have to manage resources, thus I lacked awareness in this aspect. Fang Yuan, I have to thank him for awakening my perception of this. Indeed, the best teacher is often your strongest enemy. I have decided, my first step currently is to become truly independent. He Lu Lan was truly a capable genius, she realized her own shortcomings and had the courage to acknowledge them, attempting to make changes. After she gained awareness, she did not approach Fang Yuan anymore. She placed her focus on herself, finding businesses that were suitable for her immortal aperture to develop, those that could gain the most profits. This way, even if only one stone nest was refining air sac GU, it was not a problem. Because now, she had much more time to learn and accumulate her foundation, to think about how she could earn a living for herself. Fang Yuan was extremely busy. He first took Dang Hun Mountain out of Tai Bai Yun Sheng's immortal aperture, and returned it to the center of Hu Immortal Blessed Land. Next, he started creating new homes for the dragonfish and air bubble fish. Even though the poisonous blood was drained out and the surface of the corrupted soil was removed, the remaining soil was still light red in color. If one gripped it hard, blood would flow out of it. Fang Yuan decided to reorganize the entire place. This was a huge project. First he dug around the original lakes and ponds. Next, he started setting up GU worms and forming GU formations at the center of the soil. From the base of each GU formation, he purchased large amounts of fertile soils and filled the ground with it. The new soils were classified into different types. In the lake that raised dragonfish, Fang Yuan used dragon scale soil. This type of soil was grainy and tough. Viewed from afar, it resembled layers of dragon scales. In fact, it was the soil that dragon-type desolate beasts, ancient desolate dragons, or even immemorial desolate dragons lived on. It was injected with the aura of dragons. Dragonfish living in the lake made with dragon scale soil would have greater urge to procreate. The lake that raised the air bubble fish was made with jade root soil. This soil was icy cold when held, and if it was squeezed tightly, it would turn into jade. Ordinary jade root soil would form chi veins that resembled the blood vessels of humans. They also looked like the roots of ginseng. That was also a reason for its name. When air bubble fish lived in such an environment, their lifespan would be increased greatly, and they would be much more vigorous. Because of the soil, the areas that the dragonfish and air bubble fish lived in were called the Dragon Scale Lake and the Jade Root Lake. These two lakes were in the eastern part of Hu Immortal Blessed Land. They were the largest and second largest lakes. Dragon Scale Lake was the largest. There was a large number of dragonfish inside. There was even a desolate beast dragonfish. On top of Jade Root Lake, there was a thick layer of clouds. There was star fragment grass growing on the clouds, forming a plain of clouds. Groups of starlight fireflies ate star fragment grass. They danced in the air on the plain, forming the scene of a sky with beautiful specks of starlight. Chapter 826. New Dao Marks, Deeper Foundation. Fang Yuan had also placed starlight fireflies in Tai Bai Yun Sheng's immortal aperture. He had also moved a portion of the star fragment grass in. Now that they had been merged together once again, they recovered their original scale. The poisonous blood from the blood poison carrier flowers had only contaminated the ground. It had not caused the slightest harm to the star fragment grass in the sky. Dragon Scale Lake and Jade Root Lake were placed opposite each other at a distance. Many small lakes were dug up between the two large lakes, as well as in the surroundings, like they were stars in the sky surrounding a moon each. These small lakes and pools did not use any special soils. Dragon Scale soil and Jade Root soil were GU refinement materials. Although they were not immortal materials, but with such great quantity, enough to construct two large lakes, Fang Yuan had spent quite a sum. Some remaining water wolves and shark fin wolves lived in these small lakes. The shark fin wolf desolate beast that Fang Yuan had subdued also moved around here, eating the fish in these small lakes when it was hungry. There were large numbers of blue jade carps in the pools and lakes. These blue jade carps could remain alive stubbornly in harsh conditions. Even the poisonous blood could not kill them. Instead, it caused a portion of them to undergo a mutation, becoming blood jade carps. The price of these blood jade carps was several times that of blue jade carps. In the western part of Hu Immortal Blessed Land, Fang Yuan had followed a set pattern, digging soil, arranging GU formations, and using charcoal stones to construct a large lake. However, this lake did not have even a drop of water. On the contrary, hot air rose with the charcoal stones covering the lake bed. When wind blew, the black-gray charcoal stones shone with a red light. Fang Yuan named this lake Charcoal Lake. It was the second best breeding ground for eerie fire dragon pythons. The optimal method was used in Dongfang tribe's headquarters, the arrangement in Jade Pool Blessed Land. Fang Yuan knew this optimal method from Dongfang Chongfan's soul. It could be said that he was extremely clear of the arrangement. But it was a pity that Fang Yuan's wealth could not support it. In particular, the amount of money required at the earlier stages was too high. Fang Yuan considered it carefully and chose to use the second best method of charcoal stones to construct the nest for the eerie fire dragon pythons. He placed all the eerie fire dragon pythons inside and let them develop. Fang Yuan moved away, and at every set distance, he dug a small lake. He did not use any special soils, and after setting up simple GU formations, he poured all the poisonous blood taken into his immortal aperture into them. Under the effect of isolation from the GU formations, these lakes of poisonous blood would only seep out a little every year, contaminating the surrounding soil. In the entire western part of Immortal Blessed Land, Fang Yuan dug hundreds of small blood lakes. Why did Fang Yuan do so? This related to the connection between heavenly tribulations or earthly calamities and the Blessed Land. Good fortune is hidden within bad, bad fortune lurks within good. The deeper the Blessed Land's foundation, the greater the fortune, and the stronger the heavenly tribulation or earthly calamity, and the more they would target such fortune. For instance, the previous earthly calamity of Immortal Blessed Land, a desolate beast swamp crab carrying gruel mud immortal GU, was targeted at the most valuable part of Immortal Blessed Land, Danghun Mountain. The result was that Danghun Mountain gradually started turning into a pile of gruel mud. It was barely rescued by Fang Yuan from its death. Heaven was fair and paid attention to balance. If you had a special superiority in one aspect and attracted heaven's envy, the heavenly tribulation or earthly calamity would weaken you. Naturally, there were too many types of tribulations and calamities. This rule was not absolute and one could only say that the probability was high. This was the embodiment of, bad fortune lurks within good. After the swamp crab earthly calamity, Immortal Blessed Land had, in fact, gained large amounts of enslavement path Dao marks as well as small amounts of earth path Dao marks. The higher the enslavement path Dao marks, the easier it was to control the living beings raised in the Blessed Land and the higher their reproduction. Rockmen, hairy men, fox groups, wolf groups, fish groups and so on were among this list. This was the most superior aspect of Immortal Blessed Land. After all, the original owner, Immortal, was an enslavement path GU immortal. Among the Dao marks increased after every tribulation and calamity, the highest quantity would be in enslavement path Dao marks. Besides enslavement path, there were a small number of earth path Dao marks. These Dao marks could increase the fertility of the soil in Immortal Blessed Land. The ground would become more firm and could absorb even more earth qi, and support Danghun Mountain. These Dao marks could not be inspected with ordinary methods. They merged into Immortal Blessed Land and comprehensively were built into this small world, making it more outstanding. And this was the embodiment of, good fortune lies within bad. Heaven and earth targeted Danghun Mountain, creating the swamp crab earthly calamity. But after the tribulation, Immortal Blessed Land had obtained benefits. The earth path Dao marks increased, which instead caused the mountain to be better suited for the Blessed Land. And this earthly calamity was blood poison Caria flowers. Fang Yuan inwardly guessed that this was probably sent by heaven and earth in relation to his blood path Grand Master attainment level. After getting past this calamity, Immortal Blessed Land once again gained a large amount of Dao marks. Enslavement path Dao marks were still the highest in quantity, further enhancing Immortal Blessed Land's specialty. At the same time, there was also many blood path Dao marks. The appearance of the blood path Dao marks undoubtedly changed Immortal Blessed Land. The mutation of blue jade carps into blood jade carps was only one manifestation of this. After Fang Yuan spent a lot of effort and energy to remove the top layer of soil in Immortal Blessed Land, the layer of soil exposed below already had large quantities of tender grass and exquisite flower buds growing. The grass was called blood sickle grass and after completely maturing, the stalks would be bent like sickles, broad and with edges as sharp as a knife. And the flowers were called red axe flowers. The petals were like axe blades, they were white but gave off a hint of red light. Regarding both blood sickle grass and red axe flowers, they were excellent GU refinement materials. Although not immortal materials, they could be used to refine rank 3 mortal GU. Once the blood sickle grass and red axe flowers that were all over Immortal Blessed Land matured, they would be in astonishing quantity and act as a good source of wealth. And this wealth was actually given by the last earthly calamity to Immortal Blessed Land. In fact, there were many kinds of grass and flowers grown in Immortal Blessed Land previously, like blue degree grass which was both blue and poisonous, water chestnut grass which were shaped like chestnuts, 6 divine grass which looked like 6 thin leaves with the feeling of jade. And also the 7 treasure flower which was in 7 colors, and the cup-shaped milk tea flower, filled with nectar that was like milk tea. However, these flowers and grasses could at most be used to refine rank 1 and rank 2 mortal GU. Their value was far lower than blood sickle grass and red axe flowers. The poisonous blood had seeped into the soil, changing a portion of the root systems and seeds of these flowers and grasses into the seeds of blood sickle grass and red axe flowers. The key point was that the addition of blood path Dao marks remodeled Immortal Blessed Land's environment, which created the foundation for blood sickle grass and red axe flowers to grow. Rank 6 GU immortals experience an earthly calamity every 10 years, and a heavenly tribulation every 100 years. After 300 years, Facing a total of 30 earthly calamities and 3 heavenly tribulations, they could advance to a rank 7 GU Immortal. Earthly calamities were weaker than heavenly tribulations. Every calamity and tribulation was a difficult test from heaven. They were filled with dangers but also filled with opportunities. The newly added Tao marks would reform the world of the Blessed Land to produce even more valuable resources. These resources provided the supplies required for the GU Immortals to cultivate. In the beginning, Hu Immortal could only plant large numbers of ordinary grasses and flowers in the Blessed Land. At that time, the soil was weak, there was no water and no wind. Blue degree grass and chestnut grass would not be able to survive in this environment. After several earthly calamities, the flowers and grasses withered and died out several times. Hu Immortal suffered great losses, but got new additions of wood path Tao marks and earth path Tao marks. Because of the fire calamity, the Blessed Land gained fire path Tao marks. Through the water calamity, there were water path Tao marks. With these Tao marks, Hu Immortal Blessed Land's environment was remodeled. Hu Immortal could then plant blue degree grass, chestnut grass, 6 divine grass, milk tea flowers and so on. Although Blessed Lands were able to improve greatly with these opportunities, every earthly calamity would cause losses which would test the GU Immortal's management ability. Hu Immortal weakened time and time again, her strength constantly fell, and while facing the 5th earthly calamity, she died at the hands of the blue charm lightning shadow. After Fang Yuan inherited the Blessed Land, he was barely able to pass the 6th calamity, the desolate beast swamp crab calamity. Now, Hu Immortal Blessed Land had already passed 7 earthly calamities. With this last earthly calamity, Hu Immortal Blessed Land gained blood path Tao marks, producing a living environment for blood sickle grass and red axe flowers. Experienced farmers knew what to plant in particular kinds of soil to get the best harvest. Fang Yuan managed the Blessed Land in accordance with the conditions, developing the strong points and avoiding the weak points. He did not let Tai Bai Yun Sheng use landscape as before, instead digging the poisonous blood lakes for this reason. In fact, it is not only these flowers and grass, with these blood path Tao marks, I can raise blood stripe foxes. The blood stripe fox's reproduction rate is higher than any of the fox groups raised in Hu Immortal Blessed Land earlier. The annual yield would be even greater, and if I buy some knowledge and experiences in raising blood stripe foxes, with some good luck, I might be able to turn them into a small source of income. However, blood stripe foxes were partway up the food chain. Fang Yuan would have to bring in some blood stripe rabbits to feed them. Then what would blood stripe rabbits eat? It would be blood sickle grass. Thus, Fang Yuan put in great effort to dig so many poisonous blood lakes. It was to use this poisonous blood as nutrition. Under the control of the GU formations, they would seep into the soil and constantly nourish the growth of blood sickle grass and red axe flowers. To provide beneficial competition for the blood stripe foxes, Fang Yuan also planned to buy some poison-beard wolves. Previously, Hu Immortal Blessed Land was not suitable for the growth of these poison-beard wolves. But with the contamination of poisonous blood now, Fang Yuan could raise some poison-beard wolves. There was no need for a lot of poison-beard wolves, he only required a small number of them to form a catfish effect with the blood stripe foxes. Fang Yuan was very busy, it was as if he was running around to and fro. Time flies quickly when one was busy. Almost in an instant, over half a month had passed by in Hu Immortal Blessed Land. Fang Yuan's project of remodeling Hu Immortal Blessed Land finally came to an end. Hu Immortal Blessed Land was changed beyond recognition. In the eastern part, Dragon Scale Lake and Jade Root Lake mutually enhanced each other's beauty, with many small lakes and pools in the surroundings. The lakes contained dragonfish, air bubble fish, blood jade carps and blue jade carps. Beside the lakes were some numbers of shark-fin wolves, water wolves and earth-skin pigs. In the western part, the number of lakes had increased sharply, surpassing the eastern part. The center of the western part was fully occupied by the charcoal lake. Every set interval of distance was a small poisonous blood lake. Hundreds of blood lakes were evenly spread over the western part. Looking from a bird's eye view, it was a magnificent spectacle. Not long later, there would be fields of blood sickle grass and seas of red axe flowers here. There were small quantities of blood stripe rabbits, poison-beard wolves and blood stripe foxes living here. But blood stripe foxes were being constantly drawn in from the outside world, and their numbers were increasing day by day. Something that was worth mentioning was the desolate beast giant horned sheep. It was also placed here to prevent the desolate beast shark-fin wolf in the eastern part from hunting it. Chapter 827, Feng Zheng wakes up. In the southern part of Hu Immortal Blessed Land, a small portion of rockmen were still hibernating underground. Because large numbers of blood poison carrier flowers had spawned and died in their tunnels, the underground homes of these rockmen would produce bloodstone ores after tens of years. The underground cave that hid Wisdom Gu was, however, restored with landscape as before. The G forest was looking weak, but it did not need to be cured and could dispel the poison on its own. There was even a certain chance of producing a blood G forest. The northern part of the Blessed Land, where the terrain was narrow and the area smaller, was set up as a breeding ground for regretful spiders. In the center of the Blessed Land was Danghun Mountain. Dongfang Chongfan's soul was locked up in Danghun Palace, along with the remaining dozens of Dongfang tribesmen. Large numbers of immortal materials were placed in storerooms. 5,000 kilograms of oil water, the giant dead egg of the worldly sand gull and large numbers of airsac Gu were also kept in stock. Near Danghun Mountain were the 3 Fang Yuan stone nests, where many hairy man slaves lived and refined Gu without stopping. As for the small batch of mirror willows, they were already dead. The beggar moths which ate mirror willow leaves as food no longer had any use, and were sold off. By now, the 3 large-scale resource points, eerie fire dragon pythons, regretful spiders and dragonfish, were truly established. Instead of just storing them like before, this development ensured that the 3 resource points could grow and multiply in numbers, and be sold for profit. However, at present, these 3 resources points were still being built up in scale and could not be put into the market immediately. There were also large numbers of airsac Gu in Danghun Palace's storage. But Fang Yuan could not put them in the market all at once and make huge profits, with Immortal Crane sect still eyeing Hu Immortal Blessed Land. The less attention it received, the better. Selling them slowly could decrease the risks and allow the profits to come steadily. The second day after Hu Immortal Blessed Land was restored, Tai Bai Yunsheng bade his farewell to Fang Yuan. He had put in a lot of effort during this time period. Without his help, Fang Yuan would require half a month longer to complete such a large project. He had not only spent a lot of effort, but also lent some Immortal Essence Stones to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan did not have much Immortal Essence Stones and he lacked capital during the initial investment of the renovation. Tai Bai Yunsheng gave him some Immortal Essence Stones to make up for this shortage. Speaking of which, among the 4 who signed the Snowy Mountain Alliance, Tai Bai Yunsheng was the richest at present. He had made good progress in Eastern Sea, importing large numbers of resources into his Immortal Aperture, which caused his Immortal Aperture's foundation to be unable to keep up. The Earth Chi became lacking in quantity and there was instability. Just now, Tai Bai Yunsheng returned to Hu Immortal Blessed Land not only to help Fang Yuan, but also for another purpose, to return to Northern Plains, place his Blessed Land down, absorb Earth Chi and also face the earthly calamity. However, it was not yet the time for the earthly calamity to appear and absorbing Earth Chi also required some time. When the earthly calamity struck, Fang Yuan would also have to help Tai Bai Yunsheng. Tai Bai Yunsheng left to Immortal Blessed Land, Heilu Lan, however, remained behind. Soon, Fang Yuan also left to Immortal Blessed Land to go to Central Continent. It was because Central Continent's Refinement Path Convention was about to start. Central Continent, Feihe Mountain, Immortal Crane Sect. Clouds and fog lingered around this floating mountain, with cranes flying in between the pine forests. In an underground secret room in Immortal Crane Sect, it was damp and dark, and the walls were covered in moss. Besides a stone bed in the room, there was no other furniture. On the stone bed, a young Gu master was lying down. His face was pale as paper but there were no injuries on his body, as if he was in a coma. It was Gu Fang Zheng. A Gu worm lied motionless on Fang Zheng's chest. Suddenly, a faint light flashed in the stone room, before a Gu Immortal appeared. His wide sleeves were swaying, he looked like a young man with a handsome appearance. Most eye-catching of all were his eyebrows, they were green and long, reaching down to his waist. Under the eyebrows, his gaze was dark and eerie. Lord He Feng Yang. The Gu worm lying on Fang Zheng's chest immediately moved its wings and flew up, excitedly greeting the newcomer. This Gu worm was the spirit incubating flea that contained Lord Sky Crane's soul. Lord, please heal Fang Zheng's soul, please awaken my disciple. Lord Sky Crane implored. Sky Crane, is your decision still this? He Feng Yang sighed, feeling somewhat disappointed. Why did he want Lord Sky Crane to revive using possession? It was because Lord Sky Crane was originally his subordinate and had handled many matters for him. His background and origin was clear, and he was quite capable himself. On the contrary, Gu Fang Zheng was too young, and had been forced to sacrifice himself. If he happened to hold a grievance against Immortal Crane Sect, that would not be a pleasing scenario. Sky Crane, do you know that the possession technique our Immortal Crane sect obtained now can be considered perfect and is extremely outstanding? If you had done possession previously, perhaps the body and soul would not match and leave behind side effects. But with this possession technique, it will be like you were born that way, the body and soul would blend together and match each other. There is not even a slight amount of shortcomings. This is your luck, you can be reborn and regain the glory you once had. Heaven is bestowing you with this opportunity, why do you not want to take it? He Feng Yang persuaded. Lord, the spirit incubating flea flapped its wings, and said in a quiet voice, please forgive me for being obstinate. Feng Zheng, he is my disciple. He resembles my past self, and this future belongs to him. If I possess him, I won't be able to face myself, to face my inner feelings. Please think of the many years of my servitude to you, and help me, Lord. He Feng Yang was starting to get angry. Nothing was going like he wanted recently. To save the 9 palace crane, little Jew, he had requested help from various people and spent large amounts of wealth, but it still was not showing much effect. Now, even his former subordinate was acting willfully and disregarding his persuasion, everything was going wrong. This possession technique was powerful, but it had a condition. It could not be used rashly, and it was best to let the soul be in contact with the possession target's body for a long period of time before this technique was used. Lord Sky Crane had intended to possess Feng Zheng, thus had placed the spirit incubating flea in Feng Zheng's aperture. So much time had passed already, the condition for possession was already fulfilled, but Lord Sky Crane had now changed his decision. This also meant that if Lord Sky Crane wanted to possess others, he would not be able to do so in a short period of time. His soul would need to be in contact with the body of the possession target for a long time. As for Dongfang Chongfan possessing Dongfang Yuliang, he had secretly stored a part of his soul in Dongfang Yuliang's body. His methods were so ingenious that Dongfang Yuliang had not sensed anything wrong. He Feng Yang was not feeling good these days, he was feeling frustrated and agitated, and wanted to berate Lord Sky Crane. But in the end, he did not speak out the words in his thoughts, because he could not help but associate his own situation with Lord Sky Crane's. Wasn't he also like Lord Sky Crane earlier? To save little Jew, he was determined to follow his own way and was even willing to sacrifice himself. Back then, when he was facing the hopeless situation, if not for Immortal Crane Sect's third Supreme Elder, Lord Tiger Demon helping him, there would not be He Feng Yang in the present. He Feng Yang heaved a deep sigh. All right. Since you are determined to do this, I, He Feng Yang, shall help you. This is the compensation for all the work you have done me. If later, you want to undergo possession and request me to help, it won't be free. He Feng Yang then waved his large sleeve, brushing it past Ji Feng Zheng's face. After this movement finished, He Feng Yang disappeared from the spot. Several breaths of time later, Ji Feng Zheng's soul became as firm as before, and he woke up from his coma. You are awake. The spirit incubating flea fluttered towards his eyes. Ji Feng Zheng was dazed. Moss Master, where are we? Of course we're in Immortal Crane Sect, foolish disciple. Lord Sky Crane laughed heartily. Why am I here? Ji Feng Zheng was still in confusion, mumbling. Suddenly, he shivered, a terrified expression appearing on his face. He thought of that blood pool, the terrifying memory of blood vines growing over his body when he looked into Who Immortal Blessed Land. Ah! Ji Feng Zheng screamed and subconsciously leapt back. The back of his head struck the firm stone wall, his raised head lowered down as he fell unconscious. Lord Sky Crane. 3 days later, Immortal Crane Sect officially announced the news of Ji Feng Zheng waking up. Ji Feng Zheng appeared in front of the disciples again, outrageously having rank 5 cultivation. In the morning class, Immortal Crane Sect's leader publicly announced Ji Feng Zheng as an elder of Immortal Crane Sect. For a while, the whole sect was in shock. The former rivals of Feng Zheng, like Sun Yuanhua and others, were dumbstruck, disciples and elite disciples were in a clamor, and elders also discussed this with each other. To assist in capturing Who Immortal Blessed Land, Immortal Crane Sect's Gu Immortals forcibly raised Feng Zheng's cultivation to rank 5. The identity of a disciple was no longer suitable for Feng Zheng. Feng Zheng was just adapting to his new status, and was at a loss on what to do. When he walked around the sect, every disciple he met would bow to him in greeting, among them were many elite disciples older than him. Sometimes he would see his past rivals like Sun Yuanhua, they would also pay respects to him. Many beautiful female disciples frequently flocked around Feng Zheng, some looked at him with watery eyes, while some sweetly called him Elder Feng Zheng. Compared to other elders, Feng Yuan was extremely young, it could be said that he was unique. Like stories of legends, he attracted the attention of many female disciples, some even forming crushes on him. Even Fang Zheng himself forgot his identity sometimes when he saw other elders, and would bow to these elders like a disciple. And each time this happened, the situation would turn awkward. Fortunately, Fang Zheng had Lord Sky Crane with him. Immortal Crane sect's leader also occasionally called him over to ask about his well-being and if he was facing any problems, making him feel overwhelmed from the attention and favor. What made Gu Fang Zheng even more happy was that the sect's benefits to elders were tens of times greater than the treatment received by disciples. Lord Sky Crane could faintly see the intention behind this. Previously, the sect's higher-ups intentionally sacrificed Fang Zheng, using his life to increase the possibility of capturing Hu Immortal Blessed Land. Right now, they were showering him with status and perks, to restore his loyalty to the sect. In the end, Fang Zheng was not Fang Yuan. He was too young and had scant life experience, not having even the slightest sensation of this intention. In fact, he had no complaints towards Immortal Crane sect, and after becoming an elder, he had even more of a sense of belonging to Immortal Crane sect. As for the terrifying memory of looking into Hu Immortal Blessed Land, he was subconsciously evading it, not wanting to recall it. It was only that sometimes, deep into nights, he would dream of the scene in the blood pool, recall the pain and suffering, and wake up with his body filled with cold sweat. Chapter 828. 5 Virtues Mountain, 5 Virtues Sect. On this day, Fang Zheng was returning after listening to another elder's public lecture, when he was obstructed by a disciple called Shi Hong. Elder Fang Zheng. Shi Hong bowed in greeting. Fang Zheng returned the greeting, but felt somewhat awkward inwardly. This elite disciple, Shi Hong, was older than Fang Zheng, and had originally been a senior disciple several generations above Fang Zheng. I would like to receive guidance from Elder Fang Zheng. One of the 4 entry tasks for the current Refinement Path Convention pertains to refining Earth Treasury Flower GU. The third last step of refining this GU requires the use of upstream grass, matched with Zhen Lion's mane, supplemented by the GU refinement method. But this disciple has always failed in this step. I would like to know what the correct GU refinement method for this is. This. Fang Zheng was stupefied, and hesitated. His main cultivation path was enslavement path, and his battle strength when controlling cranes were at an outstanding level among mortal GU masters. But he had entirely no understanding of refinement path. Fortunately, he had the spirit incubating flea, from which Lord Sky Crane transmitted the answer. Fang Zheng replied, "This GU refinement technique is called, one after another. Its purpose is to entwine every stalk of the upstream grass with every strand of the Zhen Lion's mane. To refine Earth Treasury Flower GU, you must weave together 100 stalks and strands within 30 breaths of time. If you go beyond this time, the fire from the GU refinement will burn these stalks and strands to ashes. Thus, if you are not familiar with this method, you will easily fail in this refinement." Fang Zheng repeated the words of Lord Sky Crane, and the more he spoke, the calmer he became. After explaining this, he then went to explain on how to practice the one after another GU refinement technique. Shi Hong's expression slightly changed, showing astonishment before hurriedly bowing in thanks. "Many thanks for Elder Fang Zheng's guidance, I have learned a lot. Do you still have anything you don't understand?" Fang Zheng smiled, getting addicted to this feeling of teaching. "There is no more, no more. This disciple shall take his leave." Shi Hong bowed, and left. After the two parted ways, Fang Zheng walked for a while before suddenly starting to slow down. He frowned and came to a realization. This Shi Hong did not come to truly ask for advice, it feels like the other way around, like he was intentionally trying to create difficulties for me. "Hee, you noticed it? Good, good." Lord Sky Crane smiled. Fang Zheng inwardly shouted, "Master, you already knew." "Nonsense, your background is extremely easy to probe, your age is also openly on display. Everyone knows you don't cultivate refinement path." Shi Hong, however, intentionally asked such a question. What could it be if not about trying to give you trouble? Lord Sky Crane paused here, before asking Fang Zheng, "Do you know why he was trying to create difficulties for you?" "Why?" Fang Zheng did not understand. Lord Sky Crane smiled brightly as he explained the reason, "Because Shi Hong likes a female disciple called Yu. And this Yu is Elder Yan Tang's daughter. Elder Yan Tang is weak, he is sidelined in Immortal Crane sect, and has had difficulties. He plans to betroth his daughter to you to form a connection, an alliance of benefits with you, the youngest elder in the history of Immortal Crane sect. Otherwise, why would he repeatedly invite you for drinking? Moreover, intentionally arrange his daughter to sit together with you every time?" "Ah!" Fang Zheng exclaimed as he realized only at this point. He could not help but recall the beautiful appearance of Yu sitting beside him, and warmly serving him dishes. Also how she frequently proposed a toast to Fang Zheng, and how after few sips of alcohol, her face would flush red, which made her even more attractive. Do you remember now? Ha ha ha, foolish boy. Lord Sky Crane was happy to see Fang Zheng looking dazed. Clearly, the spirit of gossip was commonly held between men and women, the old and young, and even the living and dead. Fang Zheng helplessly sighed, shaking his head and saying in a weary voice, "Schemes and benefits again, I really don't like them. From now on, I shall refuse Elder Yantang's invitation. I am also an elder like him anyway, refusing shouldn't be considered rude." Foolish boy, which organization in this world is not held together by benefits? True feelings of warmth do exist, but they are rare, which makes them even more valuable. Lord Sky Crane sighed with emotions, "Don't avoid these, and especially don't refuse Elder Yantang's invitation. Even if you don't marry his daughter, there is also no need to ruin the relation with him. Because currently, you are even more weak than Elder Yantang. Let's not talk about this. Master, just now the Refinement Path Convention was mentioned, and recently everyone, both disciples and elders, are talking about it. What is this Refinement Path Convention?" Fang Zheng intentionally changed the topic. "It is good that you asked me this and not others. Otherwise, they would look at you as if you were stupid. I will explain it to you properly. This Refinement Path Convention is not a normal event, but a grand occasion that occurs only every 100 years in Central Continent. That means, without special lifespan prolonging methods, most GU Masters can only participate once in their lifetimes." Lord Sky Crane explained. "Refinement Path Convention, is it an event of Refinement Path GU Masters?" "Not exactly. The cultivation of GU Masters involves three aspects: nurture, use, and refinement. The Refinement Path Convention is not an event where only Refinement Path GU Masters can participate. As long as you have skill in the GU refinement aspect, or experience and insight, you can participate." Lord Sky Crane continued. "The scale of this grand event is unprecedented. It is the biggest Refinement Path event in the world. Hundreds of thousands of GU Masters participate in every Refinement Path Convention. They come from all sizes of sects in Central Continent. Even GU Masters from Eastern Sea, Western Desert, Southern Border and Northern Plains will appear." Southern Border, a wisp of emotion rose up in Fang Zheng and he could not help but recall Qingmao Mountain. He asked, after a moment, "Then what are the 4 entry tasks Shi Hong mentioned?" Lord Sky Crane spoke everything he knew without reservation. The so-called 4 entry tasks can be said to be qualifications for entering. Any GU Master, no matter who they are, will refine GU sometimes in their cultivation journey. The Refinement Path Convention has generous rewards which attract countless GU Masters to participate. If there were not some tests set up, then there would be way too many incompetent people wanting to try their luck. Thus, the 4 entry tasks were created, to distinguish the truly skilled ones and those with Refinement Path attainment. That is to say, one must finish the 4 entry tasks if they want to participate in the Refinement Path Convention. Fang Zheng came to a realization. He. Lord Sky Crane chuckled. "Actually, these 4 entry tasks test the basic skills of GU refinement. Usually, any GU Master with certain experience can pass it." Fang Zheng was startled. "Master, I can't pass it." "No problem, with my guidance, if you train crazily in this period of time, you can also succeed. Truly, my vision will be expanded." Fang Zheng was joyous. Central Continent, 5 Virtues Mountain. Streams of people were busily moving around 5 Virtues Mountain. 5 Virtues Mountain was not tall. It was located in the eastern part of Central Continent and was the base of a middle-sized sect, 5 Virtues Sect. 5 Virtues Sect was considered a large influence within the surroundings. Its background was profound. In the past, the leader of 5 Virtues Sect had been an elder of Heavenly Lotus Sect. Heavenly Lotus Sect was one of the 10 great ancient sects of Central Continent, a super force. Thus, although 5 Virtues Sect had not been established for long, it was able to develop smoothly, and the established forces in the surroundings did not dare to sideline or suppress it. Fang Yuan, disguised as a mortal GU Master, was mixed in the stream of people, slowly moving up 5 Virtues Mountain. He was covered in a black robe. His physique was average, not tall, not short, not fat, not thin. He covered his face with a mask and his head with a rain hat. The brim of the hat was low and its shade under the sunlight covered even Fang Yuan's shoulders. But this disguise was not conspicuous in the stream of people. A lot of people's disguises were even more excessive than his. Following the slow stream of people, Fang Yuan arrived in front of 5 Virtues Sect's entrance. This tall entrance had an archway of 16 huge columns, was about 10 meters wide and taller than a 5-story building. On a plaque atop the entrance were 3 giant words shining with golden light, 5 Virtues Sect. Under the archway of the entrance were 6 magnificent stone lion statues. Behind the entrance was a wide staircase paved using the finest blue jade stones. It was like a blue river leisurely moving up 5 Virtues Mountain. The stairs were under the shade of green and verdant trees beside them. Winds of the mountain occasionally blew over, bringing cool sensations with them. People of all walks of life jostled with each other, pushing and squeezing as they moved up the stairs. Fang Yuan gazed around. In front of him and towards the left was a group of female GU masters with long wavy hair, wearing identical striped dresses, indicating they were probably from the same sect. To his right was a white-clothed young master fanning a folding fan, seated on a leopard, and constantly glancing at that group of female GU masters. To his left, a pair of master and disciple, clothed in shabby clothes, were in the midst of a discussion. "Master, there are so many people," the disciple said with excitement. The master chuckled. "There are many people, don't wander off. My good disciple, you have great talent in refinement path, this is an opportunity for you to make a meteoric rise. You can pass the 4 entry tests with no difficulty, but you must make sure to get a good position. Only in that way will others change the way they look at you, and fight over each other to recruit you." The disciple proudly smiled. "Master, you can rest assured. I will definitely take first place. With the GU worm reward of first place, I will treat your illness." The master was about to speak, when suddenly an enormous force pushed him from behind. The master was sent rolling on the ground, and the disciple cried out as he hurriedly moved to support his master by the arm. "Step aside, step aside." A group of 5 burly men walked over arrogantly. Behind them was an old GU master, whose gaze shined with a dangerous light. He was sitting comfortably on a chair which was carried by 4 men in front and behind. "The esteemed Lord First Elder of Flying Frost Sect is here, are you still not making way?" The burly men who were clearing a path shouted. "Let's move, people of Flying Frost Sect are here, we can't afford to provoke them. Flying Frost Sect sent their first elder, and are coming with such aggression, they are probably thinking of restoring their face from 5 Virtues Sect. Right, last time, 5 Virtues Sect and Flying Frost Sect fought for the mouth of the spring. In the end, 5 Virtues Sect barely won, while Flying Frost Sect suffered severe losses." The crowd discussed amongst themselves, and all made way, not wanting to provoke Flying Frost Sect. "Damn it, this is going too far." The disciple supported his master in standing up, and was about to confront them with words. "Don't." The master was an experienced person, and quickly stopped the young disciple. "What kind of force is Flying Frost Sect?" Ahead of Fang Yuan, a male GU master asked his companion. After he received the answer, the GU master snorted disdainfully. "HMPH, the whole sect has only 3 rank 5 GU masters, this is a joke." His companion quickly advised. "This is Central Continent, it is not Eastern Sea, we are outsiders here, it is better to avoid trouble whenever possible." "All right, enough now." The male GU master thought for a moment before finally giving a snort, and without waiting for the Flying Frost Sect's people, he squeezed into the crowd to the right. "What is with you, are you deaf? Make way, I said make way." The burly men shouted furiously behind Fang Yuan, and tried to drive him away. Fang Yuan did not turn around, as if he had heard nothing. The burly men were furious, but their expressions changed immediately. Rank 5 cultivation. Fang Yuan was disguised as a rank 5 GU master, and right now, he intentionally leaked out a trace of his aura. The burly men were bewildered, but drew back in the end. On the bamboo chair, the first elder of Flying Frost Sect, and Han, straightened up and stared at Fang Yuan's back. "Rank 5 aura, it's real. Such a disguise is not that of a lone cultivator demonic GU master," and Han narrowed his eyes, and moved his hand, sending the command, "Are you still not moving around?" The burly men immediately changed direction, moving around Fang Yuan towards the front. Among mortals, rank 5 was in existence at the peak, a leader of a force. Even the sect leader of Immortal Crane sect only had rank 5 cultivation. This group of cowardly bullies. The disciple and master converged into the crowd again, the young disciple furiously staring at the receding figures of Flying Frost Sect's people. Shortly afterwards, he looked at Fang Yuan with curiosity, probing and with a slight hint of reverence. The white-clothed young master on the right folded his fan and got off the leopard. The group of female GU masters ahead intentionally stopped. Many other GU masters stopped as well, and took the initiative to approach Fang Yuan, trying to leave a good impression. Rank 5 GU Master if they could build a relationship with such a character. Beside the stairs were the 5 Virtues sect disciples in charge of maintaining order. They were hurriedly transmitting messages. Send the report, there is a rank 5 GU Master. Facing these people, Fang Yuan only said one word, scram. His tone was calm but his voice carried coldness and ruthlessness. The crowd changed expressions, a chill emerging from the bottom of their hearts. Why would they still dare to trouble Fang Yuan? The young disciple also retracted his gaze in a hurry. Fang Yuan restrained his aura again. In a range of 3 steps around him, there was no one else. Chapter 829, First Round of GU Refinement. As one walked along the path on the mountain, they would arrive at a point partway up it. There was a huge platform here. On the mountain wall, there were the huge words of Disciple Selection Stage engraved. Every year, the aptitude of the disciples who had just entered the sect would be tested, and the elders would choose their disciples here. But here, the place had been modified roughly. There was a simple GU formation on the ground. It separated the locations into small areas, and on each of them, there was a number. Once in a while, the people ahead would move forward by a bit. At the sides of the path, 5 Virtues sect disciples were passing out tokens with numbers on them. Fang Yuan took his token. The number on it was 63. Walking into the disciple selection stage, after finding the spot numbered 63, he sat down on the ground. A while later, when people had finished sitting in the square, an elder of 5 Virtues sect declared, "This refinement path convention has 4 entry tasks, the test begins now." At the next moment, the hundreds of GU masters on the disciple selection stage started showing off their skills. Some of their hands were burning with flames. This was a fire refinement method. Some breathed out smoke. It was a smoke refinement method. Some released several ice snakes. The snakes worked together and breathed out cold air. This was an ice refinement method. And in Fang Yuan's hands, dozens of starlight specks were dancing. They were like blue fireflies, flying around him. In accordance with the sequence, Fang Yuan placed the GU refinement materials in, one by one. 15 minutes later, he finished all of the tasks and stood up. Such quick speed. The 5 Virtues sect elder in charge of the event knew about Fang Yuan's rank 5 GU master identity. He had been paying close attention. Even so, when Fang Yuan stood up, this elder showed shock on his face. Fang Yuan's speed was simply too fast. He made no mistakes at all. His technique was extremely skillful and experienced. What? Someone already completed it? Fang Yuan's movements attracted the attentions of many GU masters who were refining GU. It is that mysterious rank 5 GU master. The old master stood outside the stage. Seeing Fang Yuan, his pupils shrunk as he looked at his disciple in worry. He prayed inwardly, "Good disciple, please do not get distracted from this and lose your focus." Thankfully, his disciple had been concentrating on refining GU. He was focused and did not notice the commotion around Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan walked onto the highest platform. As the elder from 5 Virtues sect left his seat and inspected Fang Yuan's 4 GU worms. No negative conditions. The GU worms look like they are well fed and in good shape. The 5 Virtues sect elder was secretly shocked. After inspecting them, he cupped his fists at Fang Yuan, saying warmly, "Lord, please come this way into the mountain." Fang Yuan nodded, slowly walking and leaving the disciple selection stage. No way, is this possible? Someone actually got through using less than 1/3 of the time. Such high refinement path attainment. The people outside were talking among themselves. Among the GU masters who were refining GU, some were so shocked that their minds wavered, causing their GU refinement to fail. Fang Yuan was here to join the refinement path convention. He did not need to hide his skill. He was a GU immortal. After all, he did not need to conceal his ability. He walked up the mountain and after a while, an elder from 5 Virtues sect welcomed him. "Sir, please hold on." The elder was about to speak but Fang Yuan waved his hand, interrupting him. "I know your intention. I have no interest. Just this mere 5 Virtues sect cannot accommodate me." The elder was stunned before rage flashed on his face. He came here with the sect leader's orders to try and recruit Fang Yuan, to invite him to be an external elder in the sect. In truth, 5 Virtues sect became one of the signing up locations for the refinement path convention in order to recruit some talents. With Fang Yuan's rank 5 cultivation level, 5 Virtues sect was paying great attention to him. With the refinement path attainment that he displayed, even the 5 Virtues sect leader was shocked. How could he let such a talented person go? Thus, he ordered this elder to come and negotiate. But before this elder even spoke about his intentions, Fang Yuan rejected him. Being mercilessly rejected like this made the elder embarrassed. What else do you want? Fang Yuan looked at him coldly. The elder's face turned purple, he snorted coldly. Sir, you actually are looking down on our 5 virtues sect, aren't you being too arrogant? You want to duel me? Fang Yuan's voice was cold. The elder's anger subsided, he looked at Fang Yuan deeply. Good, 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 sir, you think highly of yourself, I am sure you can obtain a good position in the Refinement Path Convention. My 5 virtues sect will be waiting to watch it. Saying so, he waved his sleeves and left. Fang Yuan felt indifferent, he continued moving forward, he came to a cliff and arrived at the Wood Virtue Hall. This hall was hidden in the woods, it was green and mixed in with the grass and trees in the surroundings. Fang Yuan walked into the hall, there were many tables and chairs inside, elite disciples of 5 virtues sect were managing the place. Seeing Fang Yuan's arrival, a disciple went up. Senior, may I ask for your name, sect, and main GU Master Cultivation Path? Fang Yuan replied. My name is Fang Yuan, my sect will be kept as a secret, my main path will be kept as a secret. Oh okay, senior, please pay 100 primeval stones as the sign-up fee. This fee will be used in. Before the disciple finished his words, Fang Yuan tossed him the primeval stones that he had prepared. The disciple caught it flurriedly, before saying politely, please wait a moment. A short while later, Fang Yuan obtained a token. On the token, the words, Fang Yuan, were written. At the back, there was a line of words, sect hidden, path hidden, signed up at 5 virtues sect. At the end, there was the time of signing up. Senior, please take good care of this token. If you lose it, you should get a replacement as soon as possible, otherwise you will not be able to join the Refinement Path Convention. Please continue on your way up the mountain, the Fire Virtue Hall has the first round of the refinement competition. Only after senior passes this round can you join the second round. The disciple explained patiently. Fang Yuan took the token and left the Wood Virtue Hall. By now, the sign-up process was over. Central Continent's Refinement Path Convention was created by the 10 great ancient sects, but secretly, Heavenly Court was supporting it. The Refinement Path Convention was of a huge scale, there were hundreds of sign-up locations all over Central Continent. Most of them were sects similar to 5 Virtues sect, having abundant strength and being closely linked to the 10 great ancient sects, or simply one of their representatives. Fang Yuan wanted to join the Refinement Path Convention, he had to sign up at one of these locations. By refining GU on the spot, and completing the 4 tasks, he would have the qualifications to sign up and receive the token. Because there were many demonic path GU masters signing up for the Refinement Path Convention, and even GU masters from the other 4 regions, the details for signing up were very flexible. Names could be made up, sects and paths did not need to be stated, the only important thing was the token itself. There was also a group of special GU masters. These people were either in sects or they themselves had obtained a good position in the previous Refinement Path Convention, thus they could join the Refinement Path Convention automatically. For example, Hong Yi was such a case. He was in Universal Life Academy, which had obtained a placing near the end of the list 100 years ago in the Refinement Path Convention. This gave them 3 spots to join the Refinement Path Convention automatically. What was worth noting was that this treatment was only for Central Continent GU Masters, as well as Central Continent sects. After all, this Refinement Path Convention was held by the 10 great ancient sects of Central Continent, they would favor their own region. Of course, Immortal Crane sect had a larger number of spots, but Fang Yuan was only in a subsidiary force of Immortal Crane sect, if he really went for it, it would be troublesome. Fang Zheng, however, was different. A portion of the spots that the sects had were distributed to disciples and elite disciples, while the other portion went to elders. Fang Zheng was now an elder of Immortal Crane sect, he could not compete with the disciples for the spot. His refinement path attainment was very low as well, he could not beat other elders. Immortal Crane sect naturally gave the free spots to those with deep foundation in GU refinement, those GU masters that could defend Immortal Crane sect's prestige in the Refinement Path Convention. Thus, be it Fang Zheng or Fang Yuan, they had to sign up themselves. Fang Yuan held the token and walked up the mountain, entering the Fire Virtue Hall. This was the first round of the competition in the Refinement Path Convention. If his results were bad, he would not be able to join the second round. Fang Yuan went in and was informed of the GU refinement details. In 30 minutes, I have to refine the rank 1 water light GU, at least 100 of them to pass and enter the second round. Refining 150 would reward me with 5 kilograms of phantom shadow petals, 180 would get me 6 basins of rootless water, 200 would get me 10 pieces of thunder strike wood, 240 as third place, 260 is second place, and 276 is first place, I would get the rank 4 healing GU worm that is good at relieving heat toxins, green shine GU. Fang Yuan thought in his mind. This first round's difficulty was higher than the first 4 entry tasks. But it should not trouble most of the GU masters. Because they only had to refine 100 water light GU to pass and move on to the second round. The rewards for refining a larger number, though, was quite tempting to these GU masters. First place would obtain a rank 4 GU worm, green shine GU. Rank 4 GU were often something that only the elder of a large force, or the leader of a small force would have. Regarding Fang Yuan, he could buy green shine GU in Treasure Yellow Heaven. Fang Yuan's status was too high, these rewards had no attraction to him. But what he found interesting was the challenge of these tasks. The materials for GU refinement are provided beforehand, I can use them for free. They also gave the recipe for water light GU, and I can follow it casually. But even if I go all out and use the water refinement technique, I can only refine 250 of them. This result is only third place. But here in 5 Virtues sect, the third place position has already been taken. In regards to this, it was first come, first served. Once the conditions for the first 3 positions had been fulfilled, no matter how well someone who came later performed, it was useless. In other words, if Fang Yuan wanted to leave his name on the board, he would have to get first or second. Actually, it is not impossible to get first place. I can add in expensive materials and increase the production of GU worms. Water light GU is only a rank 1 GU, if I use rank 2 or rank 3 materials the production would be higher. But I will have to bear the expenses myself. I can also modify the GU recipe, with my Wisdom Path inheritance, I can easily modify this GU recipe without Wisdom Goo's help. But that way, wouldn't I lose the fun of a challenge? Maybe I can try a water fire refinement technique. Since water light GU is a water path GU, people usually use water refinement or ice refinement for it. I can do the opposite and use fire refinement, there might be an unexpected result. Chapter 830, Red Lotus Demon Venerable's Inheritance Clues. Fang Yuan had a sudden inspiration, he thought of a great method. The GU recipe was given, but GU masters could refine the GU using their own techniques. For example, to fuse 2 materials, they can use fire to melt them into one, but they could also use water to fuse them together as another method. 2 different methods would be able to achieve the same results. 30 minutes later, Fang Yuan's name was on the first place spot, and he obtained green shine GU. Fang Yuan did not practice this water-fire refinement method much, but the difficulty of refining water light GU was too low, even with his rusty technique, he refined 277. He was 1 GU above the criteria for first place. Fang Yuan's exemplary performance made the sect leader of 5 Virtues sect come personally and greet him, apologizing for the poor attitude of that elder. Next, the sect leader vaguely hinted that he wanted to recruit Fang Yuan in a very tactful tone. Fang Yuan rejected him directly, but this sect leader was not upset, he became even more polite as he sent Fang Yuan out, causing everyone around them to look on with much surprise. To be able to get first place, this proved that his refinement path attainment was not low. Regardless of his cultivation level, he would be welcomed and recruited by many forces. With just his refinement path attainment, Fang Yuan had the foundation to go anywhere in the mortal world and live in the lap of luxury. Furthermore, didn't Fang Yuan have rank 5 cultivation level? Thus, the leader of 5 Virtues sect did not dare to offend Fang Yuan, he was very polite. Evidently, not only did this sect leader have a strong background, he even had good foresight, he could adapt to circumstances and place himself lowly, it was no wonder he could create a force like 5 Virtues sect. But he would never guess that Fang Yuan was an immortal. Compared to the endless number of mortals, immortals were too rare. The leader of 5 Virtues sect had been overly worried, with Fang Yuan's personality, even if that elder said worse things, Fang Yuan would be unmoved. As long as they did not obstruct his path to eternal life, whether they scolded or praised him, Fang Yuan would not care about it at all, these were all just pointless talk. There was still some time until the second round. Fang Yuan left 5 Virtues sect and returned to Immortal Blessed Land. He stayed in Central Continent for 1 day, while 3 days and 2 nights had passed in Immortal Blessed Land. Master, the thing you wanted earlier, I've prepared it already. The moment Fang Yuan returned, little Hu Immortal appeared, bringing him good news with an expression of, please praise me, written on her face. Very good. Fang Yuan patted little Hu Immortal's head, she was very happy, her eyes closed and relaxed. Fang Yuan told the land spirit to prepare some mortal Gu worms. Some were bought from Treasure Yellow Heaven, while the others were refined by the hairy men in the stone nests. Taking these mortal Gu, Fang Yuan mobilized a small amount of star will. They flew out of his mind, into his immortal aperture. In his immortal aperture, Mo Yao's fake will was imprisoned. Fang Yuan, what will is this? Seeing Fang Yuan's arrival, Mo Yao's fake will felt something amiss. Fang Yuan's star will laughed, he did not speak but pounced at her. Mo Yao's will could not dodge in time. Bang, the two wills collided, entangling with each other. Mo Yao shouted in shock, she wanted to break free, she tried retreating. Where are you going? Fang Yuan sneered. At his direction, several Gu worms flew out, forming a mortal killer move as they froze Mo Yao's fake will in her place. Fang Yuan, you have to think it through. Ordinary wisdom path methods cannot control me. If you force me to my limits, both of us will suffer. Mo Yao's fake will was immobilized, but she could still speak while under the attack of Fang Yuan's star will. Not only that, Mo Yao's fake will was escaping like liquid water. She got the edge over Fang Yuan's star will as she tried to form into a human shape again. One could see that in this battle of wills, Mo Yao's will had the advantage, her experience far surpassed Fang Yuan's. But Fang Yuan was not anxious upon seeing this. He willed and some more Gu worms flew out and formed a mortal killer move. This killer move turned into a 5-edged diamond. It attacked and scattered Mo Yao's fake will. Fang Yuan's star will counterattacked. Mo Yao's fake will did not speak. She engaged in battle and tried to defend herself. But at this time, Fang Yuan's third killer move was used. It formed into a starlight spiral as it hit Mo Yao's fake will. Mo Yao's fake will had lost control of the situation. She had no choice but to fight with Fang Yuan's star will inside the starlight spiral. As they merged, the two wills interacted rapidly. Mo Yao's fake will had countless memory fragments. Fang Yuan's star will learned about them now. At the same time, the memories in Fang Yuan's star will were read by Mo Yao's fake will. Amidst their interaction, Mo Yao screamed, Fang Yuan, you are too foolish. You are too arrogant. In that case, so be it. Saying this, Mo Yao's fake will shrunk rapidly. She was trying to suicide and destroy herself. Fang Yuan chuckled. He had predicted this. He willed and a starlight pillar descended from the sky, onto the starlight spiral. In the spiral, Mo Yao's fake will tried to suicide as the fake will shrunk. But under the starlight's radiance, fake will was continuously produced. In fact, a portion of Fang Yuan's star will was converting into fake will, replenishing her. This forced Mo Yao's fake will to be at a certain size. She could not suicide even if she wanted to. Mo Yao, you are too naive. If you had accepted your fate and suicided earlier, I would have no way of stopping you at all. But now, you will die if I want you to, and if I want you to live, you have no way of dying. Be obedient and tell me everything that you know. Fang Yuan laughed heartily. Mo Yao's fake will was in despair. Fang Yuan had obtained a method to suppress her so quickly. This was out of her expectations. By now, Mo Yao's fake will knew that she would have no value to him soon. She knew that she could not escape her fate. Just as Fang Yuan had said, if she had suicided earlier, Fang Yuan would not obtain anything. But all living beings in this world had their survival instincts. Anyone would want to live, as long as there was hope. Even Mo Yao's will did not want to suicide. A moment later, the battle ended in the immortal aperture. Fang Yuan's star will returned with many benefits. The remainder of Mo Yao's will had lost her fighting spirit. She could not even form into a human shape. Fang Yuan had many arrangements and replenished her fake will, so that he could search her will again. The vigilant Fang Yuan also left behind many mortal Gu worms to immobilize Mo Yao's will, so that she could not suicide. Fang Yuan's star will, which was fighting with Mo Yao, had less than 30% of its original mass after coming out. 70% was expended earlier. Fang Yuan's star will flew into the sky, leaving the immortal aperture and flying up into Fang Yuan's mind. Fang Yuan shut his eyes, checking the details in the star will. Searching souls and searching wills were different. Searching souls was directly searching the soul, reading everything in their memories. Searching wills was using one's own will to forcefully interact with another will. In this process, one had to use many methods to force the other party to comply. Those who were not skilled at dealing with wills would have no gains in the end. Against different wills, the methods required were different. Thankfully, Dong Fang Chong Fan's wisdom path inheritance was very complete. After Fang Yuan studied it, Mo Yao's will, which he had difficulty dealing with earlier, was meat on the chopping board. Each time he searched a will, it needed to recuperate for a while. After all, wills were more fragile than souls. What was worth mentioning was, there was less capacity for storing memories in wills than in souls, most of the memories were fragments. But what Fang Yuan wanted the most were Red Lotus Demon Venerable's inheritance clues. In this last search, Fang Yuan reached his goal. Red Lotus Demon Venerable, Time Path Inheritance. A while later, Fang Yuan opened his eyes, mumbling. Red Lotus Demon Venerable's inheritance was set in the River of Time. Mo Yao did not know what the treasure in the inheritance was. She only knew that to inherit this unrivaled Demon Venerable inheritance, the first condition was to have Spring Autumn Cicada. Not only this, the GU Immortal had to self-detonate and use Spring Autumn Cicada to carry their will into the River of Time. In the River of Time, they had to search for a Stone Lotus Island. Only after they reach a Stone Lotus Island would they see the will of Red Lotus left there. Red Lotus Demon Venerable's inheritance, it is truly hard to obtain. Fang Yuan sighed. This was too difficult. The rank 6 Spring Autumn Cicada, once activated, would self-detonate the GU Master with a certain chance of success. To find Red Lotus, one had to risk the chance of suicide. Even if the GU Master successfully enters the River of Time, where would they go to find a Stone Lotus Island? Fang Yuan had entered the River of Time before. Even though he had 3 precious experiences, he did not find any Stone Lotus Islands. In other words, not only did the GU Master need to self-detonate and use Spring Autumn Cicada to carry their will into the River of Time, they had to manipulate Spring Autumn Cicada and swim in the river, searching for some Stone Lotus Island. Fang Yuan could not do that. He currently was using Spring Autumn Cicada only as a passenger, he could not control the direction or route. To control Spring Autumn Cicada and reach this level, I need other methods for assistance. But I don't have any. These methods would be time path methods. In this aspect, Fang Yuan was at a loss, he had nearly no knowledge in it. Currently, if Fang Yuan wanted to obtain Red Lotus Demon Venerable's inheritance, there was a long road to travel. He needed to make ample preparations. Red Lotus Demon Venerable's inheritance was in the River of Time, it was extremely dangerous for him to try to obtain it. Fang Yuan could only put Red Lotus Demon Venerable's inheritance aside. For the time being, he was going to stay in Immortal Blessed Land while waiting for the Refinement Path Convention's second round. At the same time, he would use the light of wisdom to deduce the Immortal Killer move Vaguely Familiar Face. He had obtained Vaguely Familiar Face in the Northern Plains auction, it was 50% complete. As for what the 3 core Immortal GU were, the information was not concealed. The problem was that Fang Yuan did not have these 3 core Immortal GU, they were in another person's possession. Immortal GU were unique. If Fang Yuan wanted to use the killer move, Vaguely Familiar Face, he would need to modify the move and change the core Immortal GU to something else. The best situation would be an Immortal GU he already owned. This was very difficult, because in regards to Transformation Path and Wisdom Path, Fang Yuan's attainment level was not very high. Chapter 831, Still First Place. Central Continent, East Coast. Waves were rumbling, crashing into one another, frost energy oozed, creating white fog that covered hundreds of li. Hundreds of years ago, a piece of profound ice floated over from somewhere, into Central Continent's east coast. This profound ice was huge, it was like an island, it was overflowing with frost energy, many ice path wild GU were gathered on it, the frost energy even got absorbed into nearby trees. After the profound ice was found, it attracted a lot of commotion. The GU masters living in the East Coast tried to guess the origin of this profound ice. There were 2 theories, one was that the profound ice came from far away in the east, it could have originated from Eastern Sea's icy sea region. This sea region had low temperatures all year round, it was icy cold, streams of icy water flowed like dragons or snakes, coiling around deep in the sea. Once they reached close to the surface, they formed into huge pieces of ice. The second theory was that White Heaven had a crack and a piece of ice fell from it. The size of it should have been immensely larger at first. But as it fell, it melted due to the friction against the air. After it ended up in the sea, it cooled down and formed this profound ice island. The edges of this island were smooth and shiny, there were no rough edges, it resembled melted candles, attesting to the credibility of this theory. This profound ice was beached on the sandy shore, it did not move. At first, a large number of mortal GU masters were attracted and came to scour the place. These GU masters who enjoyed the benefits of being the closest and earliest to arrive all made great fortunes. The wild GU and icy trees on the profound ice were all looted. Over the next handful of years, more GU masters came to the profound ice, staying here permanently with no intention of leaving. It turned out that although the profound ice island was lacking in resources, the profound ice was hard to melt, the frost energy it gave off made it the perfect place for ice path cultivators to stay in. Central continent's east coast was tropical, it was warm all year round, it was hard for ice path GU masters to support cultivation. Thus, regarding this profound ice island, many ice path and water path GU masters were attracted here. Places with humans have conflict, the island had limited capacity, as more people came, in order to defend their own interests, the GU masters on the island gathered into an alliance, creating a tight boundary around the ice island and preventing outsiders from coming in. Thus, a moderately sized force was created. After several hundred years of development, this loose lone cultivator alliance, due to several generations of ambitious leaders, slowly became more firmly structured. They formed a sect. As they developed, the sect grew larger, it was a large force now, there was no force in the surroundings that could match them. This sect's name was Flying Frost Sect. It hinted that the profound ice island that was the foundation of this sect came from far away, long ago in history. The second round of competition of Central Continent's Refinement Path Convention was being held, one of the places was Flying Frost Sect. Fang Yuan held the token as he came to Flying Frost Sect. The task here was to refine the rank 2 Ghost Fire GU. The rules had changed, it was no longer deciding the winner by quantity, but using time instead. It asked the GU Master to refine 10 Ghost Fire GU at once, GU Masters using less time would get better positions. The specifications were listed, using 15 minutes or less would be first place. Since this operated on a first-come, first-served basis, if someone gets first, then another person who beat the 15-minute requirement would only get second. If second place was taken, they would only place third. If all 3 positions were taken, they would get no rewards. This time, the reward for first place was 5 rank 3 Ice Path GU worm recipes. For Refinement Path GU Masters, Ice Path GU Masters, or even large forces, this had a lot of attraction. When Fang Yuan stepped into the hall to refine GU, the first 3 positions were still open. The difficulty of the second round is much harder than the first round. It is not hard to refine 10 Ghost Fire GU one by one, I can easily use less than 15 minutes. But the challenge is in refining 10 Ghost Fire GU at once. Ghost Fire GU is both a Fire Path and Soul Path GU, the steps are quite tricky and complicated, they would expend a lot of mental energy, if I keep on refining them, over time, my soul will turn weak very easily. This is one of the special traits of Soul Path GU worms. Fang Yuan considered it. He decided to use Soul Path and Fire Path techniques together to burn ghostly souls and create fake ghost fires, then using them to refine true ghost fires. Flying Frost Sect was a righteous sect, Fang Yuan had to prepare the ghostly souls himself if he wanted to burn them. Flying Frost Sect would not provide such a GU refinement material. Evil and unorthodox methods. Seeing Fang Yuan's technique, and Han, who was outside, snorted. The leader of Flying Frost Sect, who was managing the event on the stage, watched as his pupils shrunk. He thought, 5 Virtues Sect's leader tried to gather this person but was rejected. This person is burning souls now in public, this is clearly a demonic act, he is an unscrupulous individual. Even if Flying Frost Sect recruits this person, we will only invite trouble, forget about it. Other than abiding by no fighting or killing, any GU master could join the Refinement Path Convention, be they righteous or demonic, there were no limitations that barred demonic path GU masters. They could only use Refinement Path techniques to interact and compete. Precisely because of such freedom, the Refinement Path Convention was such a popular event. People who did not know the true details would think that this was the magnanimity of the 10 great ancient sects of Central Continent, but only people like Fang Yuan knew this was because of the infallible inheritance. The infallible inheritance had hidden requirements, the more GU masters that participated, the better. But the righteous path and demonic path were different. Fang Yuan used souls to refine GU, this was an evil and cruel act that would be despised by the righteous path. The observing GU masters were mostly from the righteous path, seeing a demon like Fang Yuan, they felt a strong sense of distaste inside them, they did not want to see Fang Yuan's GU refinement succeed. Maybe it was because of their collective wishes. At the crucial moment, the soul fire in front of Fang Yuan exploded. Out of the 10 Ghost Fire GU that were about to form, one of them had turned into ash, falling from the fire and piling on the floor. Everyone saw this and their eyes shined brightly, some indiscreet righteous path GU masters even made joyful exclamations. But immediately recalling Fang Yuan's rank 5 cultivation level, they shut up, although the delight in their eyes could not be concealed. And Han showed joy on his face as well. Fang Yuan gave him huge pressure. According to his earlier progress, he was already on the last few steps before succeeding. Fang Yuan's refinement speed was very fast, the souls were burning very effectively. If he passed the next few steps, he would be able to complete the refinement in less than 15 minutes, the position of first place would go to Fang Yuan. Of course, Fang Yuan had no interest regarding the reward and position. And Han was different, he was the first elder of Flying Frost sect. As the host, if he lost, he would lose face in front of his peers. Furthermore, getting first place in one of the rounds of the Refinement Path Convention was an extremely great glory for Refinement Path GU Masters. Finally, the first place reward also enticed Han greatly. Alright, this way, he would need to refine GU again. If he refines 9 Ghost Fire GU, missing one would mean he would not pass. He can only restart from scratch and make 10 more. He has to make them at the same time to pass. And Han controlled his expression from changing, feeling great joy inwardly. Indeed, evil deeds lead to bad outcomes. Even if he is using souls to refine GU, he is still going to fail. He reached first place in the first round at 5 Virtues sect, so be it. But here in Flying Frost sect, first place has to go to Lord and Han. Evil and unorthodox methods leading to GU refinement failure, this is truly heartening. The surrounding people talked among themselves. The stage itself had a GU formation that isolated sound, preventing the GU masters from being distracted. But just when they were all rejoicing, the ghost fire in Fang Yuan's hands split into 2 lumps. 2 lumps, one big and one small. Inside the large lump were 9 incomplete ghost fire GU, while the small lump had nothing. Fang Yuan's expression did not change, he breathed in deeply as he finally became more serious. Earlier, that ghost fire GU had exploded not due to his own mistake, but because refining GU had a chance of failure. Even though the failure rate of rank 2 GU was not high, and he had already performed as well as possible, when a minor stroke of bad luck like that hit him, there was nothing he could do. Now, he was holding the large lump of ghost fire and keeping it burning, while his other hand was throwing 3 souls into the small lump of ghost fire, a boar soul, a goat soul, and a human soul. The 3 souls burned together, the small lump of ghost fire burst into life, there were pitiful cries of pain coming from within. He is using a human soul. In broad daylight, he is publicly burning a human soul this. He, worthy of a demonic path rank 5 expert, being so rampant. Flying Frost sect's members had ugly expressions. They were a righteous sect. Fang Yuan was burning a human soul to refine GU here openly, he was totally disregarding Flying Frost sect. But now was the Refinement Path Convention. Even though Flying Frost sect was unhappy, they could not stop Fang Yuan from refining GU. Unless they wanted to offend the 10 great ancient sects and cause the downfall of their own sect. Fang Yuan's expression was calm, he was focused on the small lump of ghost fire. He continued to toss in GU refinement materials, the ghost fire was turning between big and small from time to time, interchangeably between strong and weak. When he got to a crucial step in the middle, he tossed in a fire pellet GU at lightning speed, as well as a soul ball GU. The 2 GU worms fused in the fire, they combined into one and created an incomplete ghost fire GU. Some knowledgeable GU masters saw this and gasped loudly. Tossing in 2 GU worms consecutively, this is the refinement path technique, consecutive toss. Even though consecutive toss is one of the basic refinement path techniques, this person is using it so well with much experience, it is almost like this is as easy as breathing to him. This is not something that talent alone can achieve, countless sessions of practice and hard work are needed to reach such a stage. Does this person cultivate refinement path as his main path? Hard to say. When he signed up, he kept his sect and path a secret. He is a true demonic cultivator, he should not have a sect, his path is quite possibly refinement path. Everyone made guesses. Of course, they were completely off. Fang Yuan's main path was strength path, it had nothing to do with refinement path. He also had a proper status in a sect, being in a subsidiary force of Immortal Crane sect, one of the 10 great ancient sects. If everyone knew that the ruthless demon in front of them was a member of Immortal Crane sect, who knew what expressions they would show? A short while later, Fang Yuan succeeded in saving his refinement attempt, the 2 lumps of ghost fires fused into one. The last few steps were done smoothly without any additional mishaps. Eventually, the ghost fire burst out and scattered, 10 ghost fire GU flew out together. Outside the stage, not a person spoke. The expression of the elder of Flying Frost sect was dark, he announced helplessly, refinement succeeded, using less than 15 minutes, the first place of this round of the competition goes to Fang Yuan. Chapter 832, Senior Fang Yuan, I want to duel you. Fang Yuan quietly stood up under everyone's gazes, slowly walking out of the stage. Such deep foundation in refinement path. He can actually do 2 tasks at once. He slowed down the refinement speed of the 9 incomplete Ghost Fire GU while restarting the refinement of the final Ghost Fire GU with extremely high speed. Refining Ghost Fire GU consumes a lot of mental energy, but he still seems energetic even now. Could it be that he has cultivated Soul Path or Wisdom Path as well? And Han was shocked and uncertain. First Elder, First Elder. A disciple beside Han reminded him in a soft voice. What is it? And Han came back to his senses. He could not help but feel embarrassed. Unknowingly, he had stood up from his seat. Such a loss of composure was really damaging to his reputation. At this moment, Flying Frost Sect's leader looked at Han. This was the Refinement Path convention. They naturally had to use Refinement Path to restore their reputation. And Han's heart skipped a beat as he realized the sect leader's intention. He had no choice but to comply. Seeing their first elder taking action, the spectating Flying Frost Sect disciples applauded loudly. They no longer had the earlier listless expressions. Even outsiders could not help but cast optimistic gazes when they saw the famous Han exiting the stage. Among the crowd, however, were some people with discerning eyes. An old GU master sighed softly. This in Han's situation doesn't look good. Why is that the case, master? A youth, standing beside the old GU master, asked with confusion. This master and disciple pair was the same pair of lone cultivators who had been walking beside Fang Yuan during the registration at 5 Virtues Sect, and had been pushed to the side by the burly men making way for Han. That demonic path GU master, Fang Yuan, is extremely terrifying. He has a high refinement path attainment level. His method just now involved far more than just doing 2 tasks at once. To do what he did, even I could only accomplish it back when I was in my peak condition. Outsiders cannot see the difficulty in this. The more proficient the refinement path GU master is, the more they would be aware of it. This Han also has extraordinary skills, but because of this, he understands even more that he cannot win against this demonic cultivator, Fang Yuan. Did you see how unsettled he looked when he stood up? It was because in his mind, he has already been intimidated by Fang Yuan. The old GU master spoke with assurance, but with a soft voice. In this state, if he tries to refine GU, he might not be able to even show half of his true skills. Most crucially, Fang Yuan has already taken the first spot. Even if Han tries harder, this won't change. That is, unless he can use a new method to finish the task in far less time than Fang Yuan, then he can earn back the reputation that Flying Frost Sect lost. But if he had such talent, he would not have remained in Flying Frost Sect for so many years. The young GU master nodded his head repeatedly in praise. Master, you are right. The sect leader of Flying Frost Sect is not an expert in GU refinement. The move he is making now is a mistake due to his thirst for success. It is like what Master taught me. One cannot rush for quick results and be anxious when refining GU. It seems that managing a sect also has the same logic. The old GU master's eyes brightened and looked at his only disciple with satisfaction. Not bad, disciple, you are truly talented, you have great ability and comprehension. The fact is, all paths lead to the great Tao. You were able to use the logic of GU refinement and look at other aspects. It looks like your refinement path attainment has already reached a certain mastery level. You can definitely achieve success in this second competition. The young GU master smiled. This is all because of Master teaching me unreservedly. If I was not picked out by Master, I would have already starved to death. My accomplishments today are all because of Master nurturing me. Disciple had a well thought out plan and could have captured first place by using just 13 GU refinement techniques. But now, first place is already taken by that demonic path GU master. Master, let disciple seize that green shine GU for you. What? The old master was greatly startled, quickly blocking him. Disciple, don't. But it was already too late. Youth knows no fear, the young GU master shouted loudly. Senior Fang Yuan, may I be so bold as to request a duel with you? The entire conversation between the master and disciple seemed to have taken a long time, but only a few moments had passed. Fang Yuan had just left the stage and had not gone far because he still needed to receive the first place reward from Flying Frost Sect. At the other end, Han had stood up and was about to step onto the stage. The young GU master's words caused a huge commotion that immediately attracted everyone's attention. There's a duel, they're going to duel. Who is that young man? He actually dares to duel with that rank 5 demon. I know him, he was second place at 5 Virtues Sect, he is a genuine refinement path genius. A young tiger does not fear an old lion's might. This will be a good show to watch. The old master had a pale expression. He could no longer stop this and could do nothing. He was feeling extremely worried and regretful deep inside. I only made efforts to impart refinement path knowledge to my disciple and forgot to teach him the dangers of worldly affairs. This is my mistake. I should not have neglected it. Meanwhile, the young GU master, under everyone's gazes, walked slowly with his head held high, leaving the crowd and appearing in front of Fang Yuan with a shining gaze and firm expression. The first elder, and Han, had just stepped into the spotlight when such a situation occurred. All of the determination that he had just built up left him like a leaking balloon. He normally was a famous person, his every move would attract attention. But today was really difficult for him. He had made a fool of himself and was now ignored by the crowd. He was furious and hateful. Duel. Who wants to duel me? Fang Yuan smiled slightly and turned around to look at the challenger. Central Continent's Refinement Path Convention was held once every 100 years. It was a grand event in all the 5 regions. Competitions were divided into large-scale and small-scale. Fang Yuan was currently participating in the large-scale competition of the 5 regions, which was the competition of the largest scale. First, the registration spots everywhere in Central Continent would eliminate large numbers of GU Master through various rounds. Finally, only a handful of participants could participate in the final contest. Small-scale competitions were often held in each region. According to past conventions, they were divided into Central Continent small-scale competitions, Southern Border small-scale competitions, Northern Plains, Eastern Sea, and Western Desert. These competitions were divided according to the geographical origins, and were rather official. There were also many other small-scale competitions, for instance at the East Coast, which would be jointly held by Flying Frost Sect, 5 Virtues Sect and others. The eliminated GU Masters from the large-scale competition could participate in these small-scale competitions of East Coast. The largest number of small-scale competitions were held by small circles of people. For instance, 3 to 5 friends would set a time, put out wagers or simply have a friendly contest with no rewards. The competitions could be further divided into open and private. Open battles could naturally be observed by others. But most of them sent invitations in advance, inviting limited number of distinguished guests to enjoy or evaluate. Private battles did not allow spectators and the results were also not publicized. Large-scale competitions were the most open battles. They did not restrict anyone from viewing but forbid the spectators from using any GU worms. Every time Central Continent held the Refinement Path Convention, it would create a trend of GU refinement flourishing everywhere in Central Continent. It was similar to the Earth's World Cup, the grand event of football that was held every 4 years. Often, at this time, even those who did not play football would try to play a bit of it. Those who did not pay attention to football would also give some attention to the matches. In this world, GU refinement was one of the 3 great aspects of GU master cultivation. It was much more significant than the sport for entertainment, football. Thus, the GU refinement trend it created was even larger and lasted longer. In this time, experiences and insights related to GU refinement were greatly interchanged, largely pushing forward the growth of refinement path. Thus, almost every participating GU master would reap some benefits. According to the different formats, the Refinement Path Convention could be divided into sect contests, duels, task contests, arena contests and so on. Sect contests were contests where 2 or more sects sent similar numbers of Refinement Path GU masters to compete in GU refinement. Generally speaking, sect contests were used to solve conflicts of interests. In task contests, one side would give a difficult problem while the other side had to solve it. In arena contests, the GU masters who were very skilled at certain areas of GU refinement would set the arena and invite refinement path experts from all parties to compete. The arena organizer would put forward a wager, and each challenger also had to put up a wager. These arena contests often had plentiful amounts of rewards. As for duels, they were what Fang Yuan was encountering right now. It is this junior who wants to duel. The young GU master walked towards Fang Yuan. His expression was neither haughty nor humble. Fang Yuan sized him up, and felt some interest when he saw the youth in high spirits. Lad, since you want to duel, then bet something that can interest me. Otherwise, I won't duel. Fang Yuan naturally had the right to refuse the duel. The Refinement Path Convention allowed duels but did not have an unreasonable rule that said one had to accept duels no matter what. The young GU master gave a serious nod. I have a rank 5 GU worms recipe with me. Senior, you are a rank 5 expert, this GU recipe will suit you. This junior wants to bet against the rank 4 green shine GU1. Fang Yuan nodded. Green Shine GU is a rare rank 4 GU, its value is equal to normal rank 5 GU. But lad, do you know what my path is? Are you certain the GU recipe you are betting suits my path? The young GU master was stunned. Senior, aren't you in refinement path? Judging from his words, the GU recipe he was betting was a refinement path GU recipe. Fang Yuan chuckled. My main cultivation path is naturally not refinement path. Lad, you are actually using only one GU recipe to bet against my rare rank 4 GU. Do you not know that if the refinement of a rank 5 GU fails, even people at my level can be injured? You are trying to harm me like this but still think I am stupid enough to agree to your conditions. The young GU master gulped a few times, but he could not say anything. For a while, he stood motionless on the spot. His master quickly hurried over and gave a deep bow to Fang Yuan. Since sir is refusing the duel, then we won't duel. What, no duel? The spectators jeered, as they were going to miss a good show. The first place position holder of 5 Virtues Sect competition, the mysterious demonic cultivator, Fang Yuan, and the second place position holder, the young GU master Zheng Shanchuan, the battle between dragon and tiger is not going to be held because of insufficient betting capital. Come, let us all lend a hand, a pile of rocks can build a mountain. A nosy individual suggested. There is no need, it was my disciple's rashness. Thank you everyone, thank you. The old master was frightened and quickly bowed to everyone, cupping his hands to salvage this situation. And Han's eyes flashed ominously, he immediately sent out his instructions in a quiet voice. Soon, someone among the crowd put forward some resources, many others responded and started to contribute one after another, urging this duel to continue. Chapter 833, Shanchuan Hall Creator. The atmosphere on the stage was getting more intense. Fang Yuan and the young GU master, Zheng Shanchuan, could no longer avoid this issue. The elderly master also noticed that most of the GU masters encouraging this came from Flying Frost sect. His wrinkles became deeper, as he showed a bitter expression. Fang Yuan thought about the name, Zheng Shanchuan, he felt that it was familiar. But as an immortal zombie, his mind was not as sharp as if he was a living person, he could not remember it instantly. He stopped the star thoughts in his mind and activated memory thoughts to excavate his memories. He finally remembered. As it turns out, in Central Continent's east coast, hundreds of years later, there was a super force called Shanchuan Hall. Its creator was named Zheng Shanchuan. Shanchuan Hall was skilled in refinement path. When dream realms manifested and dream path was flourishing, Shanchuan Hall's leader benefited alongside the trends of that age and became a GU immortal. But during that great era, mortals becoming GU immortals was nothing special. Especially after dream realms appeared, there were countless opportunities given to ordinary GU masters. Dragons and snakes were hiding in bushes, most of them only lacked an opportunity. The manifestation of dream realms gave people their fortuitous encounters. During the 5 regions chaotic war, large numbers of GU masters at the bottom of the hierarchy were given a chance to rise up. In the midst of the 5 regions chaotic war, all sorts of people emerged. They were numerous like the stars in the sky, they all had their stories. The 10 great ancient sects gradually lost control, with the rise of many forces, including 10 outstanding ones who called themselves the 10 new great sects. They opposed the 10 ancient sects openly, it was quite the spectacle. Unlike now, where the 10 great ancient sects of Central Continent had control over the situation in Central Continent, even if super forces which had GU immortals wanted to separate from the 10 ancient sects, and free themselves from the status of a subsidiary, it was difficult. In accordance with this time period, don't tell me that this Zheng Shanchuan in front of me is the creator of Shanchuan Hall. Since he could reach second place in 5 Virtues sect, he definitely has master level attainment in refinement path. Being a refinement path master at such a young age, he truly is a genius. This fits the description of Zheng Shanchuan as well. A great teacher produces great students. This old man must be Old Man Qi Shan. Old Man Qi Shan was secretly poisoned by someone, it had been causing him great torment. Zheng Shanchuan was filial, he tried all ways to heal his master. That's right, Green Shine GU is among the best healing GU for treating heat toxins. Unfortunately even Old Man Qi Shan did not know that the poison in him was a transforming poison. On the surface, it was a heat toxin, but after using Green Shine GU, it would become a cold poison, the toxicity would intensify, becoming at least twice as severe. But eventually, Zheng Shanchuan succeeded in treating his master's poison. He gathered Green Shine GU, Blue Shine GU, Red Shine GU, and others up to a total of 9 types of Shine GU, forming the killer move 9 Shine. It could subdue all sorts of poisons. Later, His bloodline descendant became a GU Immortal, being Shan Chuan Hall's leader, promoting this killer move and changing it into the Immortal killer move Profound Light 9 Shine. He became a light path healing expert, becoming quite famous during the 5 regions chaotic war. Fang Yuan used memory thoughts to excavate his memories. He quickly remembered these minute details that were deep in his memories. He understood everything going on around him, including in Han's schemes. After observing for a while, he felt that these two people were Old Man Qi Shan and Zheng Shan Chuan. He used luck inspection GU on the two of them. Flying Frost Sect was a test location for the Refinement Path Convention. There were GU worms set up to prevent GU masters from using their GU worms casually. But Fang Yuan had an immortal zombie body. He had strength path Dao marks on his body, and his immortal aperture was part of his body. When he used luck inspection GU, these mortals were defenseless. Immediately, Fang Yuan saw the luck of these two. Above his head, Zheng Shan Chuan's luck was like a 7-colored rainbow, bright and imposing. It was out of the norm. Meanwhile, Old Man Qi Shan's luck was like a broken jade bowl. Traces of gray luck were leaking out of the bowl. Old Man Qi Shan's luck was terrible, but Zheng Shan Chuan was intimately linked with him. The luck of the two were joined together. The 7-colored rainbow luck split out a portion of itself into Old Man Qi Shan's jade bowl luck, causing his gray luck to be moderated to a large extent. Fang Yuan felt interested, musing, to think that I would encounter the creator of Shan Chuan Hall here. If I kill him, in several hundred years, the East Coast would not have a super force called Shan Chuan Hall. The moment Fang Yuan had killing intent, the luck of the both of them wavered. It was like a huge wind was blowing, causing the rainbow light to fade and be on the verge of destruction. But what benefit would I get if I do that? Northern Plains is already in chaos thanks to me, but that was not my intention. It was all because of Mo Yao's fake will. But who am I going to explain that to? I will leave Zheng Shan Chuan alive. These people should continue on their original paths so that my rebirth advantage can be maintained. Fang Yuan thought again. When Fang Yuan was in Northern Plains, he knew about Ma Hongyun, but he did not kill him. This was not fear, this was the ambition of a demonic overlord. In his previous life, he was a rank 6 GU Immortal, only a step from rank 7, but it was mostly due to his fortuitous encounters. He had actually wasted a lot of time during his life. Fang Yuan had self-confidence. Even if these people grow up or even achieve greater accomplishments than in his memories, Fang Yuan could still contest with them and gain profits. He could even stomp on these people, carving out a path of blood as he sprints towards eternal life. As to whether eternal life really existed or not, did that matter? Even if he died along the way, would there be regret? This was the life that Fang Yuan wanted to live. It was full of challenge, fun, and bitterness. Other than that, beauty, wealth, and authority were all nothing more than tools that he could make use of. Fang Yuan thought about this and his killing intent towards this pair of master and disciple dissipated. Immediately, he saw that the luck of Zheng Shan Chuan and Old Man Qi Shan recovered back to their original points. It was even vaguely greater than before. Luck path is truly mystical. Fang Yuan saw this and sighed inwardly. Recently, he had a greater understanding of luck path. Luck was not omnipotent, it largely depended on one's strength and cultivation level. A thought from Fang Yuan could change the luck of the two of them. This was because he was an immortal zombie. Killing the two of them was as easy as killing ants. Back then, Ma Hongyun had many people going after him, but he instead turned danger into blessings. But now that he was in old ancestor Shuihu's hands, he could not turn the situation around. The rank 8 fortune rivaling heaven could not make up for the huge difference in their strength. Or rather, old ancestor Shuihu, as a rank 8 great expert, had the power to suppress it. There was also Hu Immortal Blessed Land's Calamity. Fang Yuan used time assist luck. In the end, because of connect luck, the increase in luck was split into 4 and Fang Yuan only kept one portion. The three of them had their gains and fortuitous opportunities, while Fang Yuan barely had any. That was because Fang Yuan was too strong. He was already an immortal. He needed much more good luck to obtain the same benefits as them. It was much more difficult to influence him than mortals. On the stage, more and more clamoring could be heard. The urging of the crowd drew more and more people to join in. Those in Flying Frost Sect no longer had to steer this matter. Fang Yuan waved his hand. We can duel, but I have no interest in these things. If I lose, I will give you green shine GU. But if you lose, I want you to be my slave, and be under my command for life. Ah, disciple, you cannot agree. Old Man Qi Shan's face paled as he shouted. Everyone looked at each other. This was a great plan by Fang Yuan. The other party was a refinement path genius. He had a bright future. If he won, he would obtain a refinement path master level slave. Senior, isn't this request too much? Zheng Shanchuan was young, but he would not agree so easily. After all, his future was at stake, this would affect his whole life. Of course you can reject me, but I will tell you now, if you do not use yourself as the wager, I will not duel. Fang Yuan sneered, saying, do you think there are lots of green shine GU around? This is the perfect GU for treating heat toxins. Lad, the tree may wish to be yet the wind continues to blow, the son wants to fulfill his duty but his parents are no longer around. Time waits for no man, often, the opportunity is right in front of you, if you miss it, you will regret it for life. Does this person know that my master is afflicted with heat toxins? Zheng Shanchuan was shocked, these words from Fang Yuan like, the son wants to fulfill his duty but his parents are no longer around, and, if you miss it, you will regret it for life, were affecting him greatly. Disciple, you must not agree to the duel. We can think of another way. Old man Qishan's expression was grim, he was an experienced person, Feng Yuan's words were like bait, he had evil intentions, he was trying to trick a young and inexperienced person like Zheng Shanchuan. The duel is their matter, outsiders are not to interfere. A flying frost sect elder came over, his face was austere as he spoke to Fang Yuan and Zheng Shanchuan, both of you have disrupted the competition, are you going to duel? If you are dueling, our sect's first elder is magnanimous and is willing to give you an area to compete in. Please decide quickly. Old man Qishan felt an alarm blaring inside him, he was about to speak but Fang Yuan said, lad, I am giving you this opportunity because I am touched by your filial piety. If you miss it, in the future, I will not agree to any duels even if you ask me. I will not bully a kid like you, I will give you a chance, you can propose the duel task. What, senior, you are letting me choose? Zheng Shanchuan was moved. Originally, the duel would be initiated by one party, and both sides would put up a wager. But the content of the duel would need to be agreed upon by both sides. If they refined a GU that one party was familiar with, while the other has not refined it before, that would not be fair. Now, Fang Yuan was letting Zheng Shanchuan choose, that was to say, Zheng Shanchuan could use his forte and trouble Fang Yuan, he could only accept it with no way to change the task. Once he said that, the surrounding GU masters gasped. They were thinking that Fang Yuan was too arrogant, their money was on the young GU master, Zheng Shanchuan, now. Disciple, do not duel, our real business is on the competition, old man Qishan continued to urge him. Even though Zheng Shanchuan had a huge advantage, this old man was still worrying, he did not want any mishaps to happen to his disciple. But Zheng Shanchuan was a young man, he was hot-blooded. Master's heat toxins are very severe, it will be too late if we do not treat it soon. The other party is so arrogant, he is looking down on my age. The GU I am most familiar with is Careful GU. This GU is a specialty of ours, it is rank 3 and has many complex steps, the techniques needed for it are numerous, I spent 3 years, putting in so much hard work, only now having an 80% chance of success. I will duel him with this. Thinking of this, Zheng Shanchuan made up his mind, saying to Fang Yuan, I will duel. Chapter 834. Refinement Path Killer Move, Spinning Golden Bell. Disciple, old man Qishan was extremely anxious. Zheng Shanchuan turned around and faced old man Qishan, on his young face, his eyes were bright and clear. Master, I am unfilial, I will have to go against your wishes. Master, he is letting me pose the problem, this is a huge advantage, I have no reason not to duel. If under such conditions, I refuse to duel, this will become a scar in my heart, would I have any courage to progress further in refinement path? Old man Qishan heard his words and fell into silence. He sighed inwardly. Oh, disciple, you have little experience of the world, you do not know the deviousness of men. Since the other party is relenting to this extent, he is definitely confident of winning, he has his trump cards. You have been fooled, it is a pity, it is regretful, I am old and weak now, the situation has already been set, I cannot do anything to stop it. On the surface, old man Qishan stretched out his hand, grabbing Zheng Shanchuan's shoulder. Disciple, I understand your filial intentions. Alright, you can make your own decision, I will support you on this. Use Careful GU as the dual task, we will not bet on the success of the GU refinement but the time. Whoever refines Careful GU first will win. Master, Zheng Shanchuan was so touched his eyes turned red. Careful GU was the sole secret inheritance of old man Qishan, it was not circulated to the outside world. To support his disciple, old man Qishan took out this precious GU recipe, allowing his opponent, Fang Yuan, to see it. He even suggested that they competed in terms of time. This was Fang Yuan's first time refining careful GU. He would not be familiar with it. If they competed using time, he would face more pressure than just needing success. As expected, the old were the wisest. Fang Yuan allowed his opponent to choose the GU. He gave a huge advantage to him. He was in a passive situation. Zheng Shanchuan hesitated for a moment. He felt that his master's suggestion was taking advantage of his opponent. Even if he won, it was not a glorious win. But he immediately thought about the fact that this matter involved his master's safety. Even if he won unfairly, he needed to win the Green Shine GU. Thus, he turned around and gave his decision to the Flying Frost Sect Elder. Flying Frost Sect quickly arranged it. First Elder and Han was overjoyed. He took the initiative to leave, giving them the venue in his place. Fang Yuan and Zheng Shanchuan went onto the stage, engaging in their duel. The surroundings went quiet. Both parties were dozens of steps away from each other, sitting on the ground. Zheng Shanchuan first took out the GU recipe of careful GU and gave it to Fang Yuan. Soon, Flying Frost Sect announced the commencement of this duel. Below the stage, discussions could be heard. I've never heard of careful GU, it is definitely their specialty GU recipe. That Fang Yuan only has had a short time to look at it before the duel started, isn't this going overboard? Hehe, this is Fang Yuan's fault for being too arrogant. He allowed the opponent to choose the GU, he made a really stupid decision. The young GU master is not simple. He was second place in the previous round, but his score was good enough to hit first place. Many people are guessing that he is a refinement path master. Hearing this, many people scoffed. How is this possible? How old is he? At this age, he is already a refinement path master. In that case, with my age, have I been living like a dog all this time? But as the competition progressed, under everyone's watchful gazes, Zheng Shanchuan used nearly 10 GU refinement techniques with extremely skillful manipulation. It was a dazzling sight. Among the spectators, those who guessed that Zheng Shanchuan had master-level refinement path attainment soared in numbers. But Fang Yuan was still researching the GU recipe. He had not started the GU refinement. Looking at this, the crowd did not think well of Fang Yuan. Oh no, old man Qishan frowned. This person has such a calm nature, he is trying to decipher each step before refining the GU. This is the demeanor of an expert, calm under any situation. Thankfully, I used time as the factor. Whoever refines the GU first wins. The process of refining careful GU is complex. He cannot win unless he is familiar with the GU recipe and has practiced with it more than little Chuan. That was impossible, of course. This was the first time Fang Yuan had seen this careful GU recipe. Careful GU was, strictly speaking, a wisdom path GU worm, but it had a huge use in refinement path. Fang Yuan guessed that this was the core GU in Zheng Shanchuan's inheritance. History had recorded that Shanchuan Hall's GU masters were most skilled at refining those GU worms which had crucial steps that directly affected the success rate of the refinement. Careful GU was best in assisting the refinement path GU master to settle these problems. After Fang Yuan looked at the recipe several times, he understood it deeply and could use it properly. He was a refinement path quasi-grand master. It was not hard to understand a rank 3 GU recipe. In truth, not only did he read the GU recipe, he also observed Zheng Shanchuan's techniques. Zheng Shanchuan was already at the middle part of the GU refinement. Fang Yuan had watched the first part closely. Even Fang Yuan had to nod his head in acknowledgement. With Zheng Shanchuan's age, it was very hard to get to his level. But as a refinement path quasi-grand master, Fang Yuan could see that his techniques were not skilled enough. There were still flaws when he dealt with the materials. Fang Yuan stretched out his hands and started to refine the GU. He is finally refining the GU. Outside the stage, quiet mocking voices could be heard. He is not anxious at all. Someone evaluated impartially. Fang Yuan started to refine the GU. It attracted Zheng Shanchuan's gaze. But he only took one look before concentrating on his own task again. Fang Yuan started GU refinement. He went through it step by step. All of the bystanders were staring in disdain. These were Zheng Shanchuan's techniques. But soon, Fang Yuan made some modifications. He used a different technique, and his GU refinement speed got faster. The mocking sounds in the crowd vanished, everyone watching his hands moving at lightning speed in shock. He has already used more than 10 GU refinement techniques. Such experienced GU refinement techniques with deep foundation, he is unfathomable. He is getting faster, he is chasing up to Zheng Shanchuan. Old man Qishan frowned tightly, he was shocked inwardly. This person's speed is not scary, the problem is, he is fast without any anxiety, his techniques are so calm and collected. Impressive, very impressive, this person's refinement path attainment is probably not just master level. Little Chuan is going to feel pressure, he cannot lose control of himself and become anxious. Careful GU gets harder as the refinement proceeds, little Chuan has the advantage, he needs to maintain it. The enemy is strong, if he loses his bearings, he is bound to lose. Zheng Shanchuan's pressure was high indeed. This was very normal, in running competitions, the person at the very front has the greatest mental pressure. Thus, many strategies revolved around conserving energy, only attempting to go all out at the end. The greater the mental pressure, the greater the burden on the body. Especially when Zheng Shanchuan was seeing Fang Yuan refining GU rapidly and catching up to him, he could not help but be flustered. Such ability, he used more than 10 refinement techniques, and he is still continuing. His mind is too strong, I cannot compete with him on this. Oh no, he is catching up. Zheng Shanchuan was a youngster, Fang Yuan's rapid speed was making his mouth dry, his heart was pounding. His gaze was firm. Forget it, I'll use my trump card and leave you in the dust. Zheng Shanchuan made up his mind, his refinement speed slowed, his mind entered his aperture as he activated his GU worms. As little Chuan going to, the master and disciple had great mutual understanding. After seeing his actions, old man Qishan understood Zheng Shanchuan's plan, he became nervous. Zheng Shanchuan's GU refinement speed is slowing. Soon, the spectators noticed this change. Are the steps ahead going to be very difficult? He needs to recompose himself. Many people were making guesses, they did not know the recipe of careful GU, they were inaccurate in their conjectures. At this time, Zheng Shanchuan breathed in deeply, his eyes shined with a golden light as his body was covered in a golden glow. He stretched out his right hand rapidly, his open palm was facing down and pressing heavily. In an instant, all of the golden light in his eyes and body gathered on his right hand. The golden light condensed and formed into a small golden bell. The golden bell spun slowly, covering all of the fire in which the refinement was occurring, it became faster and faster as it emitted a suction force. The GU refinement materials that were gathered on the floor were all sucked into the golden bell. The golden bell only lasted for 6 breaths of time before it faded. But at the next moment, before everyone's eyes, an incomplete careful GU was formed. The crowd was in a commotion. This is a refinement path killer move. Refinement path killer moves can be considered rarer than killer moves of other paths. Zheng Shanchuan is still so young, yet he already knows a refinement path killer move. What is most precious is that he actually succeeded in using it. This lad's talent is incredible, his future is unpredictable. Fang Yuan is in danger, he has the ability, but he was too careless. HMPH, Zheng Shanchuan already had such a huge advantage, but he still used a killer move, it was all for victory, he is really stopping at nothing. In my opinion, even if Fang Yuan loses this, it was not disgraceful. Zheng Shanchuan let out a breath of turbid air, his expression was spirited, I am definitely winning. I used my killer move and instantly grinded 6 GU refinement materials, I completed the longest step in this GU refinement already, I am way ahead of Fang Yuan now. Old man Qishan's heart settled. Even if Fang Yuan has a similar refinement path killer move, this is his first time refining careful GU, he has 0 experience. The usual procedure for this is to refine the 6 materials one by one while controlling the fire meticulously. If he uses a killer move to rush it, he would be causing his own doom. Even though little Chuan took a risk, it was a good decision, he is definitely going to win. The other GU masters were not familiar with careful GU, they did not understand the situation. But Fang Yuan was in dire straits, any person could tell. By completing this step in advance, he really did solidify his victory. Zheng Shanchuan stabilized his emotions and continued to refine GU. His technique was fast and stable, he did not give Fang Yuan a chance. Fang Yuan was unmoved, he started to slowly refine the 6 materials, slowly boiling them as he refined the materials. This step was not hard at all, it was just time-consuming. But Fang Yuan was not anxious in the least. Chapter 835, Promise of 3 Matters. Time passed, Zheng Shanchuan was finally at the last few steps of the refinement, the incomplete GU worm in the fire was becoming more clear. To play safe, he looked at Fang Yuan again, he saw that Fang Yuan had just finished the previous step, he had fused the 6 materials together. By this point, Zheng Shanchuan has to admire Fang Yuan's calmness, it is a pity, I am the victor of this duel. I will definitely get this green shine GU. Zheng Shanchuan was oozing with confidence, but when he retracted his gaze, Fang Yuan suddenly laughed loudly. Ha ha ha, Zheng Shanchuan, you lost, look at my refinement path killer move. What? Zheng Shanchuan's heart shuddered, he immediately turned to look at Fang Yuan. Only to see that Fang Yuan took out a Gu worm and squashed it. Instantly, Zheng Shanchuan's pupils shrunk to the size of pins, as he was about to jump. He screamed at Fang Yuan angrily, You actually destroyed Green Shine Gu. As he said this, the fire in his hands became unstable, it went out of control and exploded. The explosion was not intense, but after it occurred, Zheng Shanchuan's clean face was covered in soot, he was like charcoal, it was a sad sight. Zheng Shanchuan was stunned on the spot, he froze like a statue. Such a huge change had occurred in mere moments. Everyone outside was silent for a few breaths before reacting, they were all shocked, their voices overlapped and caused a huge wave of chattering. What a ruthless demonic path Gu master. He directly destroyed Green Shine Gu, causing Zheng Shanchuan to lose control and fail the Gu refinement, all his hard work was wasted. This Fang Yuan is too good at scheming, he flipped the situation around instantly. Zheng Shanchuan failed and has to restart the refinement now. Fang Yuan's advantage is too great now, even if Zheng Shanchuan repeats the process, he cannot catch up to Fang Yuan. Most importantly, he only destroyed his own Gu, this cannot be determined as him maliciously interfering with his opponent. Oh no, he actually did this actually happened. Old man Qishan was flustered. Zheng Shanchuan suffered a huge blow, he took a long while before recovering. When he regained control of his mental state and restarted the Gu refinement, Fang Yuan was at the last step already. This duel no longer had any surprises, Fang Yuan was the eventual winner. Exciting, this was too exciting. The spectators were commenting with much enthusiasm. Zheng Shanchuan was too young and naive, he lost his bright future now. Sigh, some people felt pity. Of course, some people were happy, for example, Han, but he was the first elder of a righteous sect, he could only be happy in secret, he had to express his sympathy towards Zheng Shanchuan's fate on the outside. The duel was over, Fang Yuan stood up as Zheng Shanchuan stared at the flame in his hands blankly. He lost his life, his bright future to a mysterious demonic path Gu master in a duel. How could this be? What should he do? Zheng Shanchuan felt that his future was bleak, there was no hope. Senior, please spare him. Both of us had eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai, we offended Senior. Please be magnanimous, my disciple is still young and innocent, please let him go. I am willing to replace him and contribute all of my savings in exchange for his freedom. Please have mercy on us, please spare us. Old man Qishan knelt on the ground, kowtowing to Fang Yuan non-stop. The old man's head hit the floor, causing a wave of loud thudding sounds, his face was covered in blood. Master! Zheng Shanchuan was jolted to awareness, he hurried over and tried to help old man Qishan get up. But old man Qishan was insistent, he pushed his disciple away as he continued to kowtow, begging for mercy. Master! Zheng Shanchuan's face was full of tears, with a splat, he knelt down facing old man Qishan. Everyone looked at this with varying expressions. Flying Frost sect's leader showed a look of regret and sympathy. And Han was coldly sneering internally. But the duel was over, how could the terms be changed under everyone's watchful gazes? Unless Fang Yuan was willing to let them go, but he was a ruthless demonic cultivator, Zheng Shanchuan was a refinement path master at such a young age, how could Fang Yuan let him go? Even if it were the righteous path Gu masters in his position, they would not let Zheng Shanchuan go. The cruel and harsh side of the refinement path convention was displayed in front of everyone. But at the next moment, Fang Yuan said to old man Qishan, it is not impossible to let him go. And Han's mental sneer froze, the place went silent. What? Zheng Shanchuan was stunned. Old man Qishan was the first to react, he was overjoyed. Thank you Senior for your magnanimity, thank you Senior for your kindness. Fang Yuan smiled, his tone was warm and kind. People should be kind to one another, that is also being kind to oneself. Everyone heard this and showed looks of disbelief. Weren't his words too fake? Who was it who destroyed the Green Shine Gu earlier and made a young lad lose? And Han's expression changed, he screamed inwardly, hey, are you still a demonic path Gu master? Quickly act ruthless, what are you saying, are you not cold at all, are you trying to make the entire demonic path lose face? Fang Yuan's words changed, but, since you offended me, you need to be punished. Everyone immediately restored their composure. And Han calmed down, he was overjoyed. Oh, so this is it, he is trying to toy with their relationship. Ha ha ha, that is right, this is the demeanor of the demonic path. Zheng Shanchuan's expression tightened. Old man Qishan started to kowtow again. He shouted, Lord, please have mercy. Forget it, I will not make you my slave for life, I want you to do 3 things. But now, you are not qualified yet, to do things for me. As for what these 3 matters are, I have not decided yet. Maybe I will not make you do any in your entire life. Maybe in the next moment, I will ask you to do 3 matters, it will all depend on my mood. Fang Yuan said slowly. His voice was not loud, but the people were quiet, listening to him. Old man Qishan sighed out in relief, he shouted while holding back his tears, Thank you, Lord, for your mercy. Zheng Shanchuan lowered his head, Junior thanks senior. 3 matters compared to being a slave for life, the former was much easier to accept. Central continent was dominated by the righteous path. If Zheng Shanchuan had the identity of a demonic path GU master's slave, even if he had refinement path talent, he would be unable to be successful and make a name for himself. But handling these 3 matters was just an agreement. Having an agreement between righteous path and demonic path GU masters was nothing much. Zheng Shanchuan's future was still very bright. Looking at the master and disciple who were extremely grateful to him, Fang Yuan laughed, ordering, Both of you, bite your tongues and give me a drop of blood from the tips of your tongues. Old man Qishan and Zheng Shanchuan looked at each other, they bit their tongues and gave the blood to Fang Yuan with much fear. Fang Yuan stretched out his right arm and his 5 fingers closed up, grasping the 2 drops of blood in his hand. Next, he moved his hand, grinding with his fingers as black smoke emerged from the spaces between his fingertips. When the black smoke faded, Fang Yuan opened his hand, showing 2 GU worms. Old man Qishan and Zheng Shanchuan were staring with wide-opened eyes, these 2 GU were a pair of rank 4 GU. Everyone gasped. Fang Yuan was actually so formidable, he refined a pair of rank 4 GU in a few breaths' time. This is the technique of blood path. He actually has such astounding blood path GU refinement techniques. Flying Frost sect's higher-ups were showing dark expressions. Even the demonic path GU masters outside showed looks of wariness. Blood path was notorious, it was even more vile than using soul path techniques to burn human souls. Righteous path members would hunt it down, even the demonic path often excluded it. This pair of rank 4 GU can sense each other. You 2 will take one, I will take the other. If I have anything to request of you, I will send someone over carrying this blood path GU worm as the symbol. These 2 blood path GU worms can sense each other and tell if they are real. Even if you die in the future, these 3 matters will extend to your children, descendants, disciples and other later generations. Are you willing? If not, be my slave. Fang Yuan said. Willing, we are willing. Old man Qishan replied hurriedly. Fang Yuan's hand moved, and one of the blood path GU worms was tossed to old man Qishan. He tossed Zheng Shanchuan another GU. When Zheng Shanchuan received this GU, he was stunned, he stammered, this is green shine GU. Fang Yuan stored the other blood path GU worm away as he said slowly, laughing, Did you really think I destroyed green shine GU? As he laughed, he left the dumbfounded GU masters behind, turning around and leaving. Zheng Shanchuan looked blankly at Fang Yuan leaving, as old man Qishan stored the blood path GU worm carefully. He did not dare to violate this agreement, their witnesses were not just Flying Frost sect, but the entire refinement path convention itself. All of the competitions, including this duel, were recorded. Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects and all of the forces that joined the Refinement Path Convention had the evidence, he could not deny it. Master, you need to heal the injury on your head. Zheng Shanchuan quickly got up, helping old man Qishan up. Go, quickly leave, we cannot stay here anymore. Old man Qishan was intimidated by Fang Yuan's methods, he was truly shell-shocked now, he urged his disciple to leave this terrifying place. With this, Zheng Shanchuan backed out of the competition, no longer joining the rest of the rounds. But he had obtained Green Shine GU, his original goal. After this matter, old man Qishan gave Zheng Shanchuan a good lesson using this as an example, telling him how vicious Fang Yuan's methods were. He truly had a grasp on the nature of people. He next told Zheng Shanchuan about the jealousy of Flying Frost sect's first elder, and Han, towards the talents of others. He was the person surreptitiously encouraging this duel. Zheng Shanchuan matured greatly from this matter, he finally understood his own shortfalls, as well as the vicious nature of the world. For most of his life, he tried all sorts of ways to treat old man Qishan while raising his refinement path attainment, keeping a low profile. When he was 53 years old, he healed old man Qi Shan's poison. When he was 88 years old, he became a refinement path Grand Master without causing much of a disturbance. In his final years, he returned to Central Continent's East Coast, creating a sect that he named after himself. It was called Shan Chuan Hall. His life ended at 150 years old. He did not join the Refinement Path Convention ever again. As for the agreement of those three matters, that was another story. Chapter 836, Preliminary Success of Vaguely Familiar Face. After the second round of the Refinement Path Convention ended, Fang Yuan returned to Hu Immortal Blessed Land. Some time had passed in the Blessed Land already. Mo Yao's will had recovered from Fang Yuan's arrangements. He could search again. Fang Yuan had no pity for her. He conducted will searching on Mo Yao's will. This time, he obtained quite a few GU refinement techniques that Mo Yao knew, including a refinement path killer move. In these memories of Mo Yao's fake will, many were related to details of GU refinement. In this aspect, Mo Yao was a refinement path Grand Master, while Fang Yuan was only a quasi-Grand Master. Mo Yao was also a certain generation's fairy of spirit affinity house. The refinement path techniques that she had expanded his vision quite a bit. After Fang Yuan learned them, he felt that he benefited greatly. Usually, when masters teach their disciples, they might keep some secrets to themselves or hide their trump cards. As the saying goes, a teacher dies of starvation after teaching his student. Mo Yao's will was now Fang Yuan's master, but she was teaching him without reserving anything. Fang Yuan had many benefits. On one hand, he learned all sorts of new GU refinement techniques from Mo Yao's fake will. On the other hand, he was revising the things he had learned. He intended to show his skills in the Refinement Path Convention, using all his ability to get the best result he could obtain. Because this concerned the infallible inheritance. Looking over the current situation, Fang Yuan estimated that it was still safe for him to join the Refinement Path Convention. But as time passes, the risk of undertaking such actions would be uncertain. The toppling of 88th Truyong building was too huge of a matter. Fang Yuan was a lone force. He could only stall them. It was impossible to completely hide the truth from the investigative forces of Northern Plains and Central Continent. If the 5 regions' chaotic war was soon to occur, the 5 regions would be busy fending for themselves. Fang Yuan would be able to conceal the truth. But unfortunately, the 5 regions' chaotic war was still hundreds of years away. Central Continent did not have much chaos under the control of the 10 great ancient sects. Northern Plains' situation had improved in stability after the battle between Old Ancestor Shui Hu against Heavenly Lord Baizu and Yao Huang. One day, the truth that I caused Truyong Building's collapse will be exposed. By then, I will have arrest warrants from Central Continent and Northern Plains. The other 3 regions might also come after me due to Giant Sun's true inheritance. Hu Immortal Blessed Land would no longer be unaffected by the outside world. It would be attacked immediately. Thus, before the truth is exposed, I have to develop myself during this period of time. Fang Yuan could clearly discern his future circumstances. Once the truth was exposed, Fang Yuan would have to start a life as a fugitive. Thus, he has to increase his strength as much as he could, using all opportunities that came, or even create them if they didn't come. Right now, the Refinement Path Convention was a huge opportunity. This was only the second round of the Refinement Path Convention. Towards the middle and late stages, the first place rewards would be Immortal Essence Stones, Immortal Materials, Immortal GU Recipes, or Immortal Killer Moves. If one obtained a good position during the final competition, they would be qualified to obtain the reward from the infallible inheritance. Thus, even if he attracted the attentions of people and was high profile, Fang Yuan could not care less. Also, his duel with Feng Jinhuang was well known by everyone already. Almost all of the higher-ups in the 10 great ancient sects of Central Continent knew about it. Fang Yuan could not lay low even if he wanted to. One day, when news that he was the culprit behind Truyong Building's collapse gets exposed, his name would spread over the 5 regions. He would be extremely famous. By then, he would face a difficult and dangerous challenge. The entire world would be his enemy. Countless GU immortals would chase down Fang Yuan. In their opinions, Fang Yuan certainly would have obtained countless benefits from Giant Sun's true inheritance. I have to use this last stretch of time to develop, accumulating Immortal Essence Stones, Immortal Materials, and raising my battle strength to the limit. Most importantly, I need to get rid of my immortal zombie body, and regain a living body. Immortal zombies could not produce immortal essence. Even his usual cultivation expenses were dragging Fang Yuan down. Looking at most of the immortal zombies in Zombie Alliance, they had to be careful and calculative in every battle. If Fang Yuan was still an immortal zombie when he was a fugitive, he would face immense danger. It might even be the cause of his demise. Thus, in the following days, Fang Yuan had to join the Refinement Path Convention and practice his GU refinement techniques, but he also had to deduce and use large numbers of Star Thought GU to modify the Immortal killer move, vaguely familiar face. This killer move was an urgent matter, it was his best way to change the situation for the better. Other matters could not compare to it, they were put aside by Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan got through the third, fourth, and fifth rounds. He had outstanding capability, his quasi-grandmaster refinement path attainment was uncommon even among GU immortals. He got first place in all 5 competitions, with such a record, his reputation was surging. Fang Yuan's name started to circulate everywhere. Everyone who heard of it knew that he was a demonic path GU cultivator, he was skilled in refinement path and had many GU refinement techniques, he had a deep foundation. The day before the 6th round, Fang Yuan finally reached preliminary success in the deduction of the Immortal killer move vaguely familiar face. It was not easy at all. Fang Yuan walked out of the underground cave, he was really excited, almost to the point of tears. The process of deducing and modifying this Immortal killer move was very difficult. Fang Yuan's wisdom path and transformation path attainment levels were entirely too low, he was like a child pushing a stone mill, going one step at a time. To get his current results, Fang Yuan had expended all of the Star Thought GU he had obtained from Dongfang Chongfan by the 4th round of the competition. Thankfully, he had the stone nests and large numbers of hairy men, he had been continuously refining and accumulating Star Thought GU. That gave Fang Yuan enough resources in order to obtain a vaguely familiar face that he could utilize. As has been mentioned previously, Immortal GU were unique. Fang Yuan did not have a single one of vaguely familiar face's 3 core Immortal GU, they were in Feng Juji's hands. If Fang Yuan wanted to use vaguely familiar face, he could only change the core GU and modify the killer move. Furthermore, it would be best if this Immortal GU was one that Fang Yuan currently had. Right now, Fang Yuan achieved this aim. The modified vaguely familiar face that he deduced was greatly simplified in comparison to the original, it only had 1 core Immortal GU, Eat Strength Immortal GU. His other Immortal GU, like Fixed Immortal Travel, Self-Strength, Iron Crown Eagle Strength Immortal GU and so on were incompatible. Or rather, Fang Yuan's attainment level was too low, he could not make use of these GU in this regard. Fang Yuan could use Eat Strength Immortal GU as the core to activate vaguely familiar face, this was mostly due to his rich foundation as a Strength Path Grandmaster. Using Eat Strength Immortal GU as the core to use vaguely familiar face, the effect was very limited. Once the killer move was used, it could not change Fang Yuan's appearance, but it could change his aura. Fang Yuan was a Northern Plains GU immortal, once he had to exert himself seriously, his aura would leak out and be exposed, along with his identity. But if he used this version of vaguely familiar face activated by Eat Strength Immortal GU, he could change his aura and turn his Northern Plains GU immortal aura into that of Central Continent, Southern Border, Eastern Sea, or Western Desert. If the other party was not a GU immortal skilled in investigation, they would not be able to expose him. In fact, Old Lord Kenyang had such a method. When Old Lord Kenyang helped Dongfang Chongfan, he fought with the band of demonic path immortals in an intense battle. But from start to finish, he was showing a Northern Plains aura, he did not display any relationship with Central Continent. This was evidently an Immortal killer move, this was an indication of Immortal Crane Sect's plentiful foundation. But Fang Yuan created vaguely familiar face in a rush, the effect was weaker than Old Lord Kenyang's move. Old Lord Kenyang could fight intensely against a large number of Northern Plains GU immortals without exposing his true Central Continent aura. Fang Yuan knew clearly that his version of vaguely familiar face could not do that. Furthermore, the use of this killer had a huge weakness, the price was very high. Each time he used it, he would need to consume several Strength Path Dao marks. Eat Strength Immortal GU's effect was to allow the GU immortal to eat immortal materials that were full of pure Strength Path Dao marks, and extract the natural Strength Path Dao marks from them, adding them to the GU immortal's body. Fang Yuan faced many failures in his deductions, he eventually racked his brains and placed his target on himself. As a Strength Path Immortal zombie, his body purely consisted of Strength Path Dao marks. As for the Time Path and Space Path Dao marks in his immortal aperture, they were not related to his body. Looking at another example, who Immortal Blessed Land had Earth Path, Space Path, Time Path, and Enslavement Path Dao marks, but who Immortal's body when she was alive only had Enslavement Path Dao marks. After she died, the Enslavement Path Dao marks on her body were all transferred into her Blessed Land. Thus, Fang Yuan decided to eat his own body. He used Eat Strength Immortal GU as the core, By supplementing large numbers of mortal GU, he expended strength path Dao marks in order to disguise his aura. Even though this immortal killer move effect was not great, it could not meet Fang Yuan's requirements, and also had a huge drawback, but it was at least usable. It was already very fortunate that he obtained such a result. He had thought that his deduction would end in utter failure. Having a preliminary success was already very satisfactory to him. The highest credit had to go to Wisdom GU. Under the light of wisdom, Fang Yuan had unlimited inspiration. He could forcefully make the strength path immortal GU into the core of vaguely familiar face. With the joy of success, Fang Yuan entered the 6th round of the competition and got first place. Returning to Hu Immortal Blessed Land, he rested for a short while before using fixed immortal travel to go to Western Desert. Western Desert, impassable dunes. Winds were blowing as sand was scattered in the air. The GU masters of Shao clan were all in a battle formation. They were fighting intensely with the hidden sand spiders. These hidden sand spiders were all the size of elephants, their bodies were covered in a layer of glazed exoskeleton, they were skilled at moving in the sand. Hidden sand spiders emerged from the sand, their mouths were sharp and dangerous, they attacked the Shao clan GU masters. Fang Yuan watched them from the sky. He estimated that there were at least 30,000 of these hidden sand spiders. But Shao clan was a super force of Western Desert. The Shao clan GU masters had exemplary skill in battle, they also had rich experience in dealing with hidden sand spiders. Thus, the situation was tilted in favor of the humans. Fang Yuan only took a look before moving his gaze to behind the hidden sand spider group. This was a huge area of sand dunes. Within this area, fierce winds were moving about as the sky turned dark, countless beasts were growling. If one looked closely, they would realize that these sand dunes were moving slowly. Chapter 837, Doing Business in Western Desert. This was one of the 7 most famous natural wonders of Western Desert, the movement of hundreds of thousands of sand dunes. It was like heaven was using a brush to sweep past most of the Western Desert, drawing a curved line. In this fixed curved path of moving sand dunes, there were no oases, no beasts and no rocks, there was only yellow sand. No one could stop it, even rank 8 GU immortals were powerless. For these enormous moving sand dunes, Western Desert's people named them impassable dunes, revealing their helplessness and confusion towards nature's might. Impassable dunes. Fang Yuan, however, narrowed his eyes, and flew straight towards the sand dunes. He had concealed his figure, and flew right above the battlefield on the ground, but no one detected him. Several of Shao clan's GU immortals were fighting on the impassable dunes, but they were at the periphery, even these GU immortals could not explore the inner areas. Their opponents were 3 enormous hidden sand spider queens, each was a desolate beast. These hidden sand spider queens were like fish in water amidst the sandstorm, their hill-like colossal bodies were constantly letting out hidden sand spider groups. However, Shao clan's GU immortals were well arranged and in good order. Xiao Hukai led the charge as the leader, shouting and roaring as he immersed himself in the thrill of battle. The deputy leader, Xiao Shirang, sighed, transmitting, "Leader, it is almost time, we have already achieved our objective of training them, we should order our GU masters to retreat now. If you had not said this, I would have forgotten it. Handle this by yourself, ha ha ha, these 3 hidden sand spider queens have weakened greatly, it is time to capture them." Xiao Hukai laughed wildly and was just about to attack, when his gaze suddenly focused in front of him and towards his left. He shouted, "Who's there?" Boom! The reply was a giant hand that passed through the sandstorm with an imposing air, directly grabbing a hidden sand spider queen. Xiao Hukai stared with a furious expression, but this giant hand's timing was perfect. That hidden sand spider queen had just been forced back by Shao clan's GU immortals when the giant hand smoothly grabbed it from behind, as if this hidden sand spider queen had gone straight into a trap. Such guts! You dare to challenge Shao clan in our territory. Thief, you want to reap the fruits of our labor, you are unforgivable. Everyone, attack and capture this person, I, Xiao Hukai, must see who is so daring. Shao clan's GU immortals were furiously about to attack when suddenly, 7 strength path giant hands emerged from the sandstorm. Bam bam bam, intense banging sounded out, 5 rank 6 GU immortals of Shao clan were routed in panic. Only Xiao Hukai and Xiao Shirang, the 2 rank 7s, were able to fight equally with 2 giant hands. This is rank 7 battle strength. The enemy is extremely powerful, the 2 leaders have used their signature killer moves, but they actually haven't made progress. The other party still doesn't seem to have used all their strength. This is the first time I have seen this strength path killer move, who in the world is this person? Immediately, Shao clan's GU immortals revealed heavy expressions. No need to be nervous, I have no malicious intentions. Look. Fang Yuan slowly flew out and revealed his appearance, his expression having a slight smile. Everyone's gazes turned towards that hidden sand spider queen, which was already clenched firmly in the grasp of the strength path giant hand, screeching in pain and struggling desperately. Captured just like that. This immortal killer move is really strong. Xiao Hukai and Xiao Shirang glanced at each other, seeing the vigilance in each other's eyes. If it were them, they could not accomplish this so easily. Otherwise, Xiao Clan would not have sent so many GU immortals to capture the hidden sand spider queens. Fang Yuan was able to accomplish this easily. One reason was because he had grasped the correct timing, when the hidden sand spider queen was greatly weakened. Another reason was that after the merging of a second immortal GU, Culling Mountain, into Myriad Self-Giant Hand, its might had greatly increased and had even more power against Earth Path desolate beasts like hidden sand spider queens. After grabbing the hidden sand spider queen, Fang Yuan appeared in front of Xiao Clan's GU immortals of his own accord. Sir, who might you be? What is your intention? Sensing Fang Yuan's good intention, Xiao Hukai asked in a low voice. Fang Yuan chuckled. I am nothing more than a nameless lone cultivator of Western Desert, living in seclusion over my life. Not long ago, I had no choice but to become an immortal zombie, only then did I come out into the open. I am here because I want to do a long-term trade with your esteemed clan. I wonder if you are interested in regretful spider groups. Oh, regretful spiders. Xiao Clan's GU immortals felt joyous. Xiao Clan possessed an immortal GU house. 10,000 Li Silk Corridor. 10,000 Li was only a general name. The entire immortal GU house was far longer than 10,000 Li. This immortal GU house had a very special function. As long as there were enough mortal spider GU, it could be spread out and built everywhere. If looked on from a bird's eye point of view, it would resemble a giant spider web spread over Western Desert. And the surface of the floor of this 10,000 Li Silk Corridor was smooth like silk. Anything placed on it could be transported at an extremely fast speed. Xiao Clan was one of the richest among Western Desert's super forces. The most important reason was because Xiao Clan possessed this 10,000 Li Silk Corridor. Any immortal GU house was a unified construct involving defense, attack, movement, healing, investigative and other aspects. Be it 88 Truyong Building, Water Pavilion, Heaven Overseeing Tower, Red Fiend Divine Boat, Profound Ice House or any other immortal GU house, they all were like this, they could be considered war fortresses. Xiao Clan spread 10,000 Li Silk Corridor everywhere, transporting goods and earning a fortune. However, 10,000 Li Silk Corridor's usage consumed large numbers of mortal spider GU. 10,000 Li Silk Corridor was Xiao Clan's economic lifeline, thus Xiao Clan had to gather a very large quantity of mortal spider GU every year to maintain 10,000 Li Silk Corridor. This time, Xiao Hukai and Xiao Shirang led the group to capture hidden sand spider queens. It was to raise them in the clan's headquarters. Every set interval of time, the blood of the hidden sand spider queen would be drawn and their flesh would be cut. Then the clan's GU masters would gather to refine large amounts of mortal spider GU. Despite Xiao Clan's own management fulfilling a portion of the requirement, there was still a shortfall left, which would have to be filled by purchasing large numbers of mortal spider GU from the market. Moreover, the larger the number of mortal spider GU and the greater the variety of them, the more beneficial it would be in the operation of 10,000 Li Silk Corridor. Xiao Clan's GU immortal group was naturally excited. Xiao Hukai asked immediately, how many regretful spiders do you have, sir, and how will we make the transaction? Fang Yuan laughed, reporting a number. The joyous light in Xiao Huqi's eyes faded in an instant. Fang Yuan then spoke. I can supply your esteemed clan with this number of mortal spider GU every month. Xiao Hukai beamed with delight. As for how to trade them, Fang Yuan said slowly, isn't your 10,000 Li Silk Corridor the best way? Give me a token for a nearby node of 10,000 Li Silk Corridor. Every month on the 30th, I will arrive at this node, place the goods and take the payment. Then what is the price of sir's goods? Xiao Shirang chipped in. No rush. Fang Yuan waved his hand. Let's discuss the price after you look at the quality of the goods. Fang Yuan took out a sample. Xiao Clan's GU immortals were greatly pleased at the quality. These regretful spiders came from a super force of northern plains, Dongfang tribe. It would be strange if Xiao Clan's GU immortals were not satisfied. Fang Yuan quoted a price. After a round of bargaining, the two sides settled on a price and completed the first transaction on the spot. Xiao Hukai made the payment on behalf of Xiao Clan, and Fang Yuan also obtained a node token. After the completion of the transaction, he turned around and left. Xiao Hukai and the rest of the group returned to Xiao Clan's headquarters, and immediately reported this to Xiao Clan's first Supreme Elder. The first Supreme Elder slowly nodded his head after learning of the details. Little Hu, you did well, the contribution points for this task will be doubled. Xiao Hukai said in a heavy voice, Lord, it is just that this person appeared too suddenly. A rank 6 immortal zombie with rank 7 battle strength. Does Lord know of his origins? The first Supreme Elder smiled indifferently. Western Desert is vast, there are naturally many GU immortals who remain in seclusion, this is not something I can know completely. Immortal zombies cannot produce immortal essence by themselves, it is not strange for them to be forced to come out of seclusion. Since this person wants to do business sincerely, we will cooperate with them for now. Our clan has an unceasing demand for mortal spider GU. If the cooperation is pleasant, there is no problem with handing out one of Xiao Clan's transaction tokens to him. Lord, are we not going to investigate him? The first Supreme Elder thought for a moment before saying, I know what you mean, since the other party can supply goods for a long time, he must have other blessed lands. Okay, investigate him a little for a while, we cannot treat him like a normal immortal zombie. The most important thing right now is the contest with Dong Clan to occupy the market in the northwest side. We need to spread 10,000 Li Silk Corridor as fast as possible. I understand, Lord First Supreme Elder. Xiao Hukai saw the first Supreme Elder shutting his eyes to rest, he understood the message and gave a respectful bow before quietly leaving. A few days later, Central Continent, Floating Flower Riverbank, Hearing Wave Pavilion. The large force, Hearing Wave Pavilion, was generally a secluded sect, but it was now bustling like a market. This was the one of the test locations for the 7th round of the Refinement Path Convention. A round of the competition had just ended. Everyone in the audience was discussing and exclaiming, with countless gazes gathered on Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan was clothed in a black robe, he wore a mask on his face, just like previously. Silently and unhurriedly, he walked out of the stage. Many gazes followed his slow movement, while another portion of people stared at the rankings on the wall with shock. Right now, Fang Yuan's name was imprinted on first place. Demonic cultivator Fang Yuan has seized first place 7 times in a row. Amazing, truly amazing, this performance means he has master level attainment at least. With such talents and ability, there is a high chance that he can pass the famous nightmarish 8th round of the Refinement Path Convention. When can I have such ability? Among the crowd, Hong Yi gazed at Fang Yuan's receding figure, his heart filled with yearning. For some reason, while others disliked Fang Yuan's style as a demonic cultivator, Hong Yi, as a disciple of the Righteous Path's Universal Life Academy, did not feel any dislike towards Fang Yuan. Hong Yi had great luck and huge potential, but his skills were too thinly spread out and he was eliminated pitifully at the 2nd round. Do you guys think Fang Yuan can fight his way into the finals just like this? Youngster, you are thinking about the finals now. He, it is too early, too early. That's right, who knows how many dragons and snakes are in Central Continent's Refinement Path Convention, the water here is too deep. The previous 7 rounds were no more than the initial portion of the competition. The true essence and brilliance of the Refinement Path Convention lies in the later parts of the competition. Chapter 838, Origin of the Refinement Path Convention. Under everyone's discussions, Fang Yuan slowly started walking out of Hearing Wave Pavilion. Everywhere he went, the crowds of people opened up a path for him. Even though Fang Yuan was a demonic path GU cultivator, those of the righteous path felt distaste and repulsion regarding it, but they had no choice but to admire his refinement path attainment. Especially in such a special environment like the Refinement Path Convention, this was a special time where demonic cultivators could enter the righteous path forces openly. The mentality of GU masters was slightly different now, they were focusing on champions of Refinement Path. At the outer gate of Hearing Wave Pavilion, several GU masters from their respective forces were shouting loudly and selling information. It was a booming business. Attention, attention, the newest information has been updated. There is the most comprehensive results list in this Refinement Path Convention, we even have the results of the 7th round. Do you want to know the top 100 GU refinement geniuses most favored in this competition? Then come take a look. 1 Shadow Image GU for a minimum price of 50 primeval stones. We will sell it for the highest prices offered, until we run out of stock. A famous Wisdom Path GU Master's conjecture towards the ranking of the participants in this small competition of Central Continent sects. There are also the grudges of the 10 great ancient sects. A set of information for only 10 primeval stones. It is a steal. To think that the results of the 7th round are already out. Fang Yuan heard this and he was inwardly moved. But when he saw the attire of the GU master selling the information, he understood why. This GU master selling the information of the 7th round was wearing the clothes of Lightning Information Sect. Lightning Information Sect was a super force created by a GU Immortal. It was obviously far inferior to the 10 great ancient sects. Lightning Information Sect's creator, Mi Lan Guang, was originally a Lightning Path GU Immortal from Wind Cloud Manor. Because he broke the sect rules, he was crippled in his cultivation and expelled from the sect. In order to sustain a living, he was forced to cultivate Information Path. Combined with his Lightning Path cultivation experience, he created a set of unique Information Path GU worms. In the end, he developed at a much faster pace than before. He created Lightning Information Sect. After more than 100 years of development, it was already a first-rate sect that was skilled in Information Path among the forces of Central Continent. Even the 10 great ancient sects bought information from them at times. Fang Yuan walked to this GU master and threw him 10 primeval stones. Give me a copy. The Lightning Information Sect GU master received the primeval stones in a hurry. He took a look at Fang Yuan and was shocked. Oh, sir, is Sir Lord Fang Yuan? It is my greatest honor to be able to provide this information to you. How could I accept any primeval stones? Sir, please take it back. This information will be given to you for free. Saying so, he passed the 10 primeval stones back to Fang Yuan with both hands. Fang Yuan smiled lightly. It is your reward. The GU master smiled in a fawning manner. Then I will thank Lord for the reward. Lord, this is the information you want. I thank you for purchasing this on behalf of Lightning Information Sect. If you could spare us a moment of your time and accept the interview of our sect, we will give you immortal materials as compensation. Fang Yuan waved his hand, receiving the GU master's Information Path GU worm as he walked away. Lord, take care. The GU master saw that Fang Yuan rejected him and did not say anything else. After all, Fang Yuan was a rank 5 demonic cultivator. He stood on the spot and sent Fang Yuan off. Gazing after him, only until Fang Yuan was gone did he continue to shout loudly and promote his information. Fang Yuan walked as he diverted a portion of his thoughts into the new Information Path GU worm. This Information Path GU was only rank 1, it was simple to refine, it was not worth mentioning. But the point was the information inside, that was the thing that was valued at 10 primeval stones. Fang Yuan inspected it and found out that there were over 8,000 people that got through all 7 rounds of the Refinement Path Convention. These people were able to get through the 7 rounds, they would essentially be quasi-masters at least. Of course, among them, there were some lucky ones with lower attainment levels. But here, speaking of those with lower capability was only relative to the experts, they were not at Hong Yi's level. People like him were already completely eliminated by the 3rd round. Initially, there were hundreds of thousands of people who signed up. Most of these people were Central Continent GU masters, there were also people from Southern Border and the other regions. After 7 rounds, only 8,000 were left, it was not even 10,000, one could see how intense the elimination rate was. And among them, only 400 or so were people who had gotten the top 3 places in all 7 rounds of the competition. These were talented people who were at least Refinement Path Masters. This number of 400 might appear high, but in a huge region like Central Continent, they were truly a small fraction. These people were at the top of the pyramid. In any path, people of master level were rare. Compared to other paths, Refinement Path could be considered much deeper and harder, the proportion of masters was even lower. Among these 400, only 80 or so had gotten first place in all 7 rounds. Undeniably, these 80 were the focal group of the focal group, they were the pivotal characters. Fang Yuan was among them. According to the experts' evaluation, his name was only at the middle upper position. This was the result when Fang Yuan did not bother concealing his ability. One could see how intense the Central Continent Refinement Path Convention was. Talented people were emerging everywhere, it was not easy to defeat these Refinement Path geniuses and stand at the top. Of course, this ranking was only an estimate, it did not represent their true level. The tests in the 7 rounds could not evaluate Fang Yuan's limits. At the same time, he had a mysterious background. Even if they wanted to make a guess, they had no way to do so. These reasons caused his ranking to be at the 30th position or so. Fang Yuan looked at this ranking and found many familiar names. Firesmith Dragon Chief, Fang Wei, Tian Min Mie, Feng Jin Huang, Yu Mu Chun, Lui Pin Tian, Do Ping Tan, Ku Wen. All these people had high statuses in Fang Yuan's previous life. Undeniably, they were all outstanding people, shining stars lined up one after another. Fang Yuan felt a strong, piercing light coming from them. Among these people, some were superstars during the 5 regions chaotic war. Even though some of their rankings might be low now, they were immortals in the future. Some even were refinement path grandmasters during their lifetimes. Fang Yuan felt pressure inwardly. Fang Yuan was a refinement path quasi-grandmaster, he was one step away from grandmaster level. But this one step was very far away, it required great accumulation to make the breakthrough. Actually, in terms of refinement path talent, Fang Yuan was very ordinary. If his talent was insufficient, he could only make up for it with hard work. Fang Yuan's accumulations from his previous life, along with his current life, forcefully elevated his refinement path attainment from master level to quasi-grandmaster level. 500 years of cultivation but only becoming a quasi-grandmaster, wasn't he really useless? Look at Zheng Shanchuan, he is so young but already a refinement path master. Talent was undeniably important, but there was another factor. Zheng Shanchuan was a GU master that cultivated refinement path mainly, all of his efforts were placed in it. Meanwhile, Fang Yuan in both lives only cultivated refinement path on the side. During his previous life, he lived 300 years at first, only cultivating blood path for the last 200 years, and in this life he cultivated strength path. Being one's main cultivation as opposed to being cultivated on the side, the amount of effort put into them was vastly different. If Fang Yuan did not cultivate blood path and strength path mainly, he might not have lived up to now. He was not fortunate like Zheng Shanchuan, having a master to protect and nurture him along the way. Furthermore, attainment levels of paths were hard to raise, the higher one went, the more difficult it was. Before Dream Realms changed the 5 regions, to raise one's attainment level, one could only work hard and accumulate their foundation while having ample talent. One could say that it was not easy for Fang Yuan to reach his current quasi-grandmaster attainment level. With my ability, it will be difficult to even reach the top 10 of the refinement path convention. Meanwhile, to benefit from the infallible inheritance, I need to be at least top 6. The infallible inheritance was a refinement path inheritance. Central Continent's refinement path convention had expanded over the years. Initially, it was only a way for the 10 great ancient sects of Central Continent to fight over the infallible inheritance and split its benefits, using refinement path to hold a competition and determine the winner, to gain the most benefits for one's own sect. But later, because the infallible inheritance's benefits were too great, it could even help in the recovery of Fate GU, therefore Heavenly Court took over it. Strictly speaking, the 10 great ancient sects of Central Continent were representatives under Heavenly Court to manage affairs. Heavenly Court was the boss behind the scenes of the 10 great ancient sects. Since the boss wanted to take over, the 10 great ancient sects could only accept it and cooperate to the best of their efforts. With Heavenly Court controlling it, Central Continent's refinement path convention became famous throughout the region, and even expanded its influence over the world. Right now, each refinement path convention would attract many people from the other 4 regions to participate. Based on records from previous competitions, those who can reach the top 3 are refinement path grandmasters, or even quasi-great grandmaster level occasionally. The quality of each competition's GU masters vary, but the top 10 were usually mostly refinement path grandmasters. Sometimes, the 7th to 10th positions were refinement path quasi-grandmasters. When there were few people joining, and there were only 3 to 4 refinement path grandmasters, there would be refinement path quasi-grandmasters in the top 6. But when there were many people, there would be 7 to 8 refinement path grandmasters in the top 10, then there would be few quasi-grandmasters who could reach a top 10 position. This time, the standard was neither high nor low, there were 5 refinement path grandmasters. I am best at blood path GU refinement techniques. But right now, I do not have many blood path GU worms, and if I use those blood path refinement techniques openly, I would be giving Immortal Crane sect an excuse to attack who Immortal blessed land. To get top 6, I need to scheme. Fang Yuan thought about it and made up his mind. 16 days later, Central Continent. Enzu Earth Trench, Demon Expelling Sect. Demon Expelling Sect was a super force, there were 3 GU immortals in it. Its sphere of influence spread over an enormous range, it covered dozens of large forces, hundreds of middle-sized forces, and countless small forces, including the insignificant GU master families. To be a test location of the 8th round was something Demon Expelling Sect's main headquarters definitely had the qualifications for. Tens of thousands of GU masters rushed in on this day, to watch the exciting competitions of GU refinement. Of course, the actual location was limited in space and could only hold 1,000 people, but these 1,000 people were not ordinary GU masters. Demon Expelling Sect had already made appropriate arrangements for the huge squares that could hold many ordinary spectators. Once the 8th round started, the real-time broadcast of the competition would play in the air. Chapter 839, Fang Zheng's inner thoughts. Fang Zheng and another Immortal Crane sect elder led over 10 disciples into the competition venue. It was a hubbub of sound outside the stage. Over 1,000 GU masters were sitting in the surroundings, discussing in murmurs while waiting for the 8th round to start. However, because there were too many people, even the softest whispers converged together to become an extremely clamorous scene. Immortal Crane sect's elders and disciples. Once they saw Fang Zheng's group, the surrounding GU masters could not help but stare at them. The sounds of their discussions became softer. Compared to large and small forces, members of Central Continent's 10 great ancient sect members gave the feeling of royalty walking among common people. That young man is actually wearing the attire of an Immortal Crane sect elder. I am not hallucinating, right? Quiet down, can't you sense his aura? He is a genuine rank 5 GU master. Making a fuss over nothing, it's not like there aren't GU worms to maintain a youthful appearance. Look over there, they are Myriad Dragon Doc's disciples and elders. At the next moment, everyone's gazes were attracted towards another group of people. The number of this group of GU masters was twice that of Immortal Crane sects, with 4 elders leading the way and many elite disciples among the disciples. Myriad Dragon Doc, an elder of Immortal Crane sect, couldn't help but focus his gaze. Of the 10 great ancient sects, Myriad Dragon Doc could be said to have been in the limelight recently. And the reason was because of Vicious Lightning Fiend. Vicious Lightning Fiend was only a rank 6 GU immortal, but his battle strength was extremely outstanding. During his 2 years of closed cultivation, he created the immortal killer move Lightning Deity. After coming out of seclusion, he roamed around Central Continent, challenging countless GU immortals in his journey. Most ended in his victory. There were few draws and very rarely did he lose. The more Vicious Lightning Fiend won, the greater his reputation soared, because he gained a lot of resources from the spars and duels. The amount of lightning deities that he owned increased instead of decreasing. There were a total of 3 now. Even before he had Lightning Deity, Vicious Lightning Fiend already had an impressive achievement of battling a rank 7 GU immortal to a draw. Now with 3 lightning deities, his battle strength had increased explosively, even surpassing normal rank 7 GU immortals. In his challenges, he had achievements of defeating many rank 7 GU immortals. With rank 6 cultivation, winning against rank 7 GU immortal was extremely rare. Especially praiseworthy was that Vicious Lightning Fiend had repeatedly challenged and won against rank 7 GU immortals. He was at the peak of fame now, and the reputation of Myriad Dragon Doc, his affiliated sect, was also soaring with him. This was to the extent that the whole of Central Continent's GU immortal world was starting to recognize Vicious Lightning Fiend as the strongest among rank 6 GU immortals of the current generation in Central Continent. Some battle-hungry elders of Myriad Dragon Doc were so encouraged that they even proclaimed that Vicious Lightning Fiend was the next Shilei, the next Feng Zhuzhe. Vicious Lightning Fiend had immediately reprimanded them when he heard news of it. Leave Shilei aside, but Lord Feng Zhuzhe is not someone I am qualified to compare with. Speak less of such things from now on. The implication of his words was that he was able to match Shilei. Immortal Monkey King Shilei was a rank 7 GU immortal of Combat Immortal sect with outstanding battle strength, but he had firmly been pushed down by Feng Zhuzhe, unable to turn the situation around. It was rare to see a monster like Feng Zhuzhe even once in thousands of years. Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects had been forced to accept it, respecting and fearing him. A series of victory fostered Vicious Lightning Fiend's swagger, till he began to publicly challenge Shilei. Combat Immortal sect's people were naturally extremely indignant, but strangely, the violent-natured Shilei was maintaining silence. This instead boosted Myriad Dragon Doc's confidence, as they felt Shilei did not have certainty in dealing with Vicious Lightning Fiend, and was hiding like a coward. Of course, people who knew some of the inside story were aware that Vicious Lightning Fiend's challenge was nothing more than Myriad Dragon Doc probing at Combat Immortal sect. Combat Immortal sect discovered Starry Sky Grotto Heaven and Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's dream realm within it. They had already covertly started attacking the Grotto Heaven. And because they had withdrawn their GU immortal level battle strength from everywhere, the other 9 sects were already starting to sense something amiss. However, such secrets were generally only known by GU immortal level higher-ups and characters. Thus, when Myriad Dragon Doc's elders and disciples saw Fang Zheng's group, they were clearly filled with arrogance. Ah, it is Immortal Crane sect's people. He, what are you here for? To see how your elders fail? It's useless. Our Myriad Dragon Doc's Lord Dragon Chief will definitely be the final winner, no doubt of it. Myriad Dragon Doc's GU masters immediately taunted and jeered. The competition between Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects was extremely intense. There was much rivalry between either side. Especially when Immortal Crane sect had been showing weakness for a long time now, myriad Dragon Doc's members, with their increasing reputation, further looked down on Immortal Crane sect. Immortal Crane sect's disciples felt suffocated by anger, but they could not retort to them, maintaining their silence as myriad Dragon Doc's group brushed past them, before they sat at their arranged seats. A bunch of cowards, someone said in disdain. Someone else ridiculed. Ha ha ha, this is indeed the style of Immortal Crane sect. Immortal Crane sect's group looked even more unsightly. Some spectators were surprised at this and asked, Immortal Crane sect and myriad Dragon Doc are both of the 10 great ancient sects, why is myriad Dragon Doc being so rampant? Someone immediately replied, there are stronger and weaker sects even among the 10 great ancient sects. Immortal Crane sect is weaker than myriad Dragon Doc, this is known by everyone. Besides this, the participating GU Master of Myriad Dragon Doc in this test is truly strong, it is that refinement path GU Master who is called Firesmith Dragon Chief. What? Firesmith Dragon Chief is actually a GU Master of Myriad Dragon Doc, isn't he a lone cultivator? Hee, didn't you read the information from Lightning Information Sect? This Firesmith Dragon Chief had violated sect rules in his early years and was thrown out of Myriad Dragon Doc. He is participating in this refinement path convention to get a good placing and return to Myriad Dragon Doc. So it was like that. It is said this Firesmith Dragon Chief has Grandmaster attainment in refinement path. Even a person like this is begging to return to Myriad Dragon Doc. The appeal of Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects is really enormous. Over at Immortal Crane sect, Fang Zheng and the other elder were quietly discussing. Fang Zheng asked, I wonder, what is the possibility of our sect's elder Yan Tang succeeding in this round? Fang Zheng did not have much skill in GU refinement, he had trained hard and barely passed the 4 entry tasks, registering his name. However, he was miserably eliminated in the first round. Fortunately, large-scale competitions were all open contests and did not prohibit anyone from spectating. Fang Zheng's status was also high, as an elder of Immortal Crane sect. Elder Yan Tang, who had invited him to many banquets and drinks, was participating this time, be it privately or publicly, he had to come in support of Elder Yan Tang. The Immortal Crane sect elder, sitting beside Fang Zheng, frowned at his question and sighed. Elder Fang Zheng, you are also aware that Elder Yan Tang's main cultivation is Fire Path, and he only cultivates Refinement Path on the side. Meanwhile Firesmith Dragon Chief's main cultivation is Refinement Path and he cultivates Fire Path on the side. The gap is too large. Fang Zheng still did not understand completely. Even so, with Elder Yan Tang's Refinement Path attainment, he should be able to place in the top 3. Sigh. The Immortal Crane sect elder shook his head while smiling bitterly. Elder Fang Zheng, you are not aware, after the 7th round of the Refinement Path Convention, it uses a cruel system of a single winner. In this huge demon-expelling sect test venue, only one GU Master will be able to win in advance. What? It is actually like that? Fang Zheng was shocked and was only able to react after a few breaths. He had experienced many setbacks, as such, the way he thought had changed. Since the opponent is so strong, then why didn't Elder Yan Tang go to another test venue? The Refinement Path Convention doesn't restrict the participants from choosing the venue. Elder Fang Zheng, you were right in thinking of that. After all, retreating to progress forward is also a tactical victory. But unfortunately, other test venues have already been occupied by Refinement Path experts. Moreover, it was the higher-ups' decision to arrange Elder Yan Tang in this venue. The final words were spoken quietly by the Immortal Crane sect elder. Fang Zheng was alarmed and startled. If he still did not understand now, he would be an idiot. So the higher-ups had already made the decision to sacrifice Elder Yan Tang to probe Firesmith Dragon Chief. He suddenly recalled his master, Lord Sky Crane's words. Elder Yan Tang was isolated in Immortal Crane sect, so he is inviting you to drinks to form a political alliance with you. Because he is alone, he was chosen to be a sacrifice. Elder Yan Tang is probably filled with discontent. What if I was treated as a sacrifice one day? The moment he thought of this, Fang Zheng suddenly remembered the miserable scene of him in the blood pool, with blood vines growing all over him. Ah! The nightmarish memory surfaced again. Fang Zheng shuddered and gasped. What's wrong? The elder beside him asked with concern. Nothing. Fang Zheng wiped his forehead, his palm swiping away a layer of cold sweat. He did not dare to think more, he was filled with panic and hesitation inside. Right at this time, the elder's voice resounded in his ears. All the participants have entered the venue, this round of the competition is about to begin. Fang Zheng quickly raised his head, and saw over 100 GU Masters slowly stepping onto the stage. Fang Zheng saw Immortal Crane sect's Elder Yan Tang, who was expressionless, but his gaze was filled with discontent and helplessness. At another side, the red-robed firesmith dragon chief, however, had an arrogant expression as he gazed around, not concealing his disdain and contempt towards the surrounding participants. A group of weaklings, it is my win for sure. Start already. Firesmith dragon chief indifferently laughed loudly, openly urging demon-expelling sects hosting elder. The surrounding refinement path GU masters did not dare to refute this because of Firesmith dragon chief's strength. Immortal crane sect's elder Yan Tang clenched his fists tightly and looked furious, but he unexpectedly remained silent. Victory to Myriad Dragon Doc. Victory. Firesmith dragon chief will win. Myriad Dragon Doc's group was cheering loudly, as if injected with morale. They were rampant. The surrounding spectators, however, could only sit quietly and watch all this happening. Repulsive, truly repulsive. Fang Zheng still had the nature of a young man. He was clenching his teeth and shouting furiously inwardly, "Damn it, if only I had enough strength. I really hope someone will beat down this Firesmith dragon chief right now, and destroy this Myriad Dragon Doc group's arrogance." Seemingly responding to his wish, a figure quietly appeared. At first, no one paid attention, but when he stepped on the stage, countless gazes turned towards him. Black robe, mask, rank 5 demonic cultivator. Fang Yuan, why is he here? The whole venue was silent before being sent into an uproar. Chapter 840 Fang Zheng's Nightmare. Nobody expected that Fang Yuan would show up here. According to the competition rules of Central Continent's Refinement Path Convention, from the 8th round onwards, there can only be one winner from each test venue. Thus, gradually, the whole of Central Continent's test venues became domains to be dominated by skilled Refinement Path GU masters, like fierce beasts ruling over a territory. Unless they were forced to have no other choice, no beast would move out of their territory to challenge another beast. This was not sensible. The further they advanced, the higher the glory and rewards they could obtain. Having a decisive showdown early on would only let someone else reap the benefits. Thus, when they saw Fang Yuan, many GU masters guessed, does Fang Yuan have some enmity with Firesmith Dragon Chief? The demon-expelling sect elder hosting this round of the competition also felt baffled, but showed no expression on his face. Fang Yuan's entry was in accordance to the competition's rules. As long as someone entered any test venue within the set time, their results would be recorded. Thus, even if there were people who wanted to obstruct someone, they could not do so under everyone's gazes. This person is Fang Yuan. Is he that famous owner of who Immortal blessed land in our sect? Immortal Crane sect's disciples also began to guess. Truthfully speaking, our sect's Lord Fang Yuan is truly mysterious. I have yet to see his true appearance. This is Fang Yuan. Impossible. Central Continent is so large, there are also GU masters with the same name. Fang Yuan and Feng Jin Huang's agreement has already been widely spread. Our Immortal Crane sect has many exemption quotas. Fang Yuan could have simply conserved his energy and participated from the 10th round onwards. Immortal Crane sect's disciples discussed, many of them stealthily glancing at Fang Zheng's face. Fang Zheng's lips were pursed tight, his face looked pale white and his hands were clenched tightly within his large sleeves. They were brothers by blood. The moment Fang Yuan appeared, Fang Zheng could intuitively tell that it was his big brother. Fang Zheng was caught unprepared. The shadow during his childhood years suddenly fell and shrouded over him again at this moment, seemingly like a pair of black hands were tightly clenching his neck. Fang Zheng felt suffocated. The nightmare, that he had done his best to evade from since he woke up from his coma, attacked his mind once again. The arrogant exclamations and cheers of Myriad Dragon Doc group gradually turned quieter. Fang Yuan had displayed high refinement path attainment, seizing first place in all the past 7 rounds, the same as Firesmith Dragon Chief. Myriad Dragon Doc's elders and disciples had to admit Fang Yuan was a powerful opponent. I heard this Fang Yuan's achievement is the same as that of our Firesmith Dragon Chief, seizing first place in all 7 rounds. Is he that person who is dueling Feng Jin Huang? If it is truly him, then that is the owner of who Immortal blessed land, he should be very affluent. So what, HMPH, haven't you seen the rankings? Firesmith Dragon Chief is ranked at 7th, but where is Fang Yuan placed at? It is beyond 30th place. Right, he is simply looking for humiliation by coming here. I believe Lord Firesmith Dragon Chief will definitely defeat him. Although Myriad Dragon Doc's group said this, other spectators did not have the same thoughts. Fang Yuan entered on his own accord, showing an extremely aggressive stance. Fang Yuan was clearly not a fool, he surely had confidence and trump cards to move out of his territory and attack. Fang Yuan's unorthodox behavior made Firesmith Dragon Chief startled, furious and doubtful. Thereupon, Firesmith Dragon Chief probed, Fang Yuan of Immortal Crane Sect. Are you coming to lose in advance? What Firesmith Dragon Chief truly wanted to ask was, why are you coming here to compete? Couldn't you have just stayed in your territory and advanced safely? You must be smoking something. At the same time as he asked this, he felt gloomy inwardly. We don't have any grudges, what are you trying to do by disturbing me? Don't you still have the duel with Feng Jinhuang? Do I look that easy to bully? The moment he spoke, the uproar turned even louder. What, this Fang Yuan is actually a member of Immortal Crane Sect? Isn't he a demonic cultivator? It should be true, Firesmith Dragon Chief has personally confirmed it, can it still be false? This is big news, who could have thought he was actually a disciple of one of the 10 great ancient sects, but why did he come here? Did Immortal Crane Sect have a fight with Myriad Dragon Doc? I haven't heard rumors about any disputes. Even the hosting elder was looking with eyes wide open, staring at Fang Yuan blankly. At once, Fang Yuan became the focal point of everyone's gazes. Big brother, Fang Zheng gritted his teeth, his face pale as paper and his body filled with cold sweat unknowingly. He was feeling difficulty in breathing, and also physical weakness, as if he had collapsed after doing intense exercise. Fortunately, everyone was gazing at Fang Yuan and no one noticed his miserable state. Lord Sky Crane consoled him from his aperture, but there was almost no effect. Other Immortal Crane Sect members were excitedly gazing at Fang Yuan, some even stood up unconsciously. Fang Yuan had never officially appeared in Immortal Crane Sect's headquarters. However, his legends were spread widely in Immortal Crane Sect. Mysterious and powerful, with countless rumors regarding him. It was said that he had outstanding talents, such that he was taken in as a legacy disciple by a GU Immortal the moment he stepped into Immortal Crane Sect. This was of course a rumor, purely speculative and completely unreliable. However, Immortal Crane Sect's higher-ups could not refute them. Once they spoke the truth, where would their reputation as one of the 10 great ancient sects remain? Moreover, Immortal Crane Sect's disciples were more willing to believe the proof in front of them. The greatest proof was Fang Zheng. Fang Zheng had a great aptitude and already had rank 5 cultivation now, becoming a sect elder. They could only imagine, as his big brother, how outstanding Fang Yuan's aptitude must be. Otherwise, how could he have won against Feng Jinhuang and seized to Immortal Blessed Land? Right now, Immortal Crane Sect's members was stretching their necks, firmly fixing their gazes upon Fang Yuan like glue. Uncertainty and curiosity was overflowing from within their hearts. I really want to see Lord Fang Yuan's true appearance. It should be similar to Elder Fang Zheng's. Sigh, why did he have to wear a mask? This is a test venue, if we carelessly use investigative GU, we will be thrown out. The disciples communicated excitedly. The other Immortal Crane Sect elder finally discovered Fang Zheng's state and asked with concern, Elder Fang Zheng, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? Nothing, nothing, Fang Zheng's heart skipped a beat, hurriedly replying. Why does Elder Fang Zheng seem to be afraid of Fang Yuan? Is the relationship between these brothers not good? A strange look flashed past the elder's eyes. Fang Yuan's eyes were hidden behind the mask. He first slowly glanced around, pausing a moment on Fang Zheng before slowly landing on Firesmith Dragon Chief. He chuckled, breaking the long silence, his voice somewhat hoarse as he proudly proclaimed to everyone present, right, I am Immortal Crane Sect's Fang Yuan. Haha, it was true. Elder Fang Yuan, best of luck. Elder Fang Yuan and Elder Fang Zheng are our sect's heroes. The most intense response was from Immortal Crane Sect's group. Some disciples almost jumped in excitement, they felt pride and a strong sense of honor in their sect, after being suppressed by Myriad Dragon Doc. Right now, with Fang Yuan's words, they felt really relieved and avenged. What are you so happy about? Right, what is there to be pleased about? Myriad Dragon Doc's group retorted. Hatred flashed past Fang Zheng's eyes, as he said with clenched teeth, don't compare my brother with me. These words, however, had another meaning when heard by others. Did you hear it? Even Elder Fang Zheng, with his aptitude, admits he is inferior to Lord Fang Yuan. That's right, reportedly Fang Yuan is a GU Immortal seed and the higher-ups are nurturing him with all their strength. Immortal Crane Sect's disciples talked in a soft volume, but the sound was not soft at all. You guys, Fang Zheng's expression turned ashen and he felt an intense dizziness. The expressions of Myriad Dragon Doc's group turned even more unsightly. The atmosphere of conflict intensified. One elder of Myriad Dragon Doc sneered and cursed in a quiet voice, let's see what kind of downcast expressions you guys will have when he loses. The bustle outside the stage already made the other participants on the stage into props to be ignored. Fang Yuan continued to gaze at Firesmith Dragon Chief, and intentionally raised his voice. Firesmith Dragon Chief, I came here to defeat you. It is way too boring to defeat those incompetents. You are a slightly decent opponent, you will add some radiance to my path of advancement. So use your true strength, don't hold back. I remember your strongest method is, what was it, Mad Deity's blazing flames? Use it and fight me, this way when I defeat you, I can feel a little satisfaction. Hearing such provocative words from Fang Yuan, whether it was on the stage or outside the stage, all the GU masters had the same feeling, arrogant, too arrogant. Everyone had already felt that Firesmith Dragon Chief was arrogant, but now that they saw Fang Yuan, they realized the saying, no matter how good you are, there is always someone better than you, was completely true. Look at Fang Yuan, this was the true master of arrogance. Firesmith Dragon Chief was startled, he actually knows about my hidden trump card. This is impossible, I have never exposed this technique. How did he find out? After the astonishment, anger rose in him as he countered, alright, since you, Junior, are boasting so shamelessly, let me teach you a thorough lesson. I will make you understand what true pain is. At the same time, he furiously shouted inwardly, will I, a grand rank 6 GU immortal who has undergone 2 heavenly tribulations and is only 1 away from rank 7, be afraid of you, a bottom-tier immortal zombie? Kid, you think too highly of yourself, I will step on you and make you lose all your face. Blindly challenging me will be the greatest regret of your life.